Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Look, I'm sorry to report, there's no OB this morning. I know you get me and Luke. I apologize. It is what it is. He had a meeting this morning. He had to go to one of those, contract labor meetings that he goes to. So apologies for that. Welcome into, we need to call this something. Yesterday I called it the low hour.
Yeah.
We got to let the people kind of give their ideas. You had a couple.
We're open to naming rights. We are selling the naming rights of this hour that happens about once a year. So you have 29 minutes to get your ideas in before it doesn't exist again.
Yeah. So some of the leaders in the clubhouse, you said I'll let you say them. You had a couple ideas.
The Dole Hour.
The Dole Hour. Yeah.
And that was really all I had.
Yeah. The Lucky Hour. You're lucky to have Luke.
Before 9 a.m.
Before 9 a.m. Very lucky. I had a joke with that earlier. I'm not going to use on the air. Justin, you had an idea?
The Lowdown.
Yeah, sounds like a real sports show.
I mean, that's like a little bit too country for two people who are not really.
I'm not. I go to the country meetings. What are you talking about?
You get invited to the country meetings like once every 6 months.
No.
You're not a regular member.
You want to see my most recent playlist?
It's probably Bad Bunny.
No, it is like old school country. I'll show it to you. I'll show you at the break.
All right. I'll believe it when I see it.
Nick, you have any ideas for this hour?
Nick belongs at the lowdown meetings.
Thank you, Luke. Let me think on that. I don't know, because we were talking about it back here. You don't have Gabe, you don't have Olin, so it's almost like we got to get away from the acronyms and just give it something a name.
That wouldn't be fun for this segment, though.
Okay, sorry to ruin the joke.
I thought the Lou Hour, because losers. No. That was a bad
Richard
laugh.
likes it. I don't.
Yeah. Anyway,
how about the losing all the viewers hour if we keep
going
you're
on the air, you're right.
Rights,
yes. I am big in the retirement community that watches us on the CW. For sure,
I think Olin might have cornered that market, but
this is true.
But you're getting there. You're definitely going to get the corner of that market eventually.
Thank you. The longevity hour was another one, because I'm peak longevity. We'll see what you look like when you're 50. That's rude. Hey, we're going to talk, since he's here, we have some Aggie basketball to talk about.
Yeah.
But before we do that, Luke, what is the biggest story in college sports right now? Maybe in all of sports.
Brendan Sorsby. And
for those who don't know who that is,
the former Indiana, former Cincinnati, now Texas Tech quarterback, checked himself into a rehab facility for gambling addiction. And since then, it's just come out that he was betting on Indiana football while he was redshirting. He was going to Reds games and betting on balls and strikes.
Yeah, but I think it was like $1, right? He was betting $1.
Right, but I think it happened like hundreds of times, hundreds of pitches.
So here's my thing. First off, if you bet on your team in college sports, you're done.
Well, I think if you bet in general, I think the rule is any college athlete or even anybody working on a college team cannot be involved in gambling. Because I have friends that work for A&M teams, and they're like, I cannot play like a fantasy sports league. Like I can't even do that.
I thought if you bet on another sport, it was 50% of your season you'd have to forego. I heard that somewhere. But whatever, it's a no-no, right?
Yeah.
But if you bet on your team,
right,
you're out.
Correct.
That's kind of like the Pete Rose treatment. I mean, I don't know if he's going to the Hall of Fame, but you are basically exiled from college athletics.
Yeah, and obviously I think it's a sad situation because he checked himself in, and that's like the only way that this story even came out. So I think it's sad that he asked for help. He's asking for help, and it's now become publicized as obviously what he did was wrong.
Right.
But I think he took a step in the right direction to get himself help. But at the end of the day, people are going to take that story and run with it. And it's obviously wrong what he did. And now Texas Tech's season, given the fact that we are past any portal window, I don't want to say it's cooked, but you just paid all that money for a quarterback to put around a roster that you also put a lot of resources into. And there's a reason they went and got
They play in the
Sorsby.
Big 12, brother. Like, they play in the Big 12.
But what I mean is national
with an elite defense.
National championship aspirations are probably, they brought in Sorsby to take that next step.
The guy who got hurt last year, who played a little bit,
Will Hammond.
Hammond. I think he started throwing recently, and he wasn't bad.
Yeah, he was coming off a major injury. Like that, we're not just talking about they've got a healthy backup. Like their backup, it was a gruesome injury. Like he was out for multiple months. So now there's a lot of questions around that room.
So I want to make sure that everybody recognizes, because I want to, take care of us legally. Like this is reports, alleged. Like we don't know. We're basing this off what reports are saying. But I do want to ask some questions about it. So first thing is, oftentimes when people do a proactive move like Sorsby's doing, is because they got caught, or they know a story's coming out real soon and they wanted to get ahead of the story. So I'm curious where the genesis of this. Was it him, like his parents said, this is it. You've been betting thousands of dollars. You've got to go into rehab. Is it that? Or the New York Times, TMZ, the Texas Tech, newspaper.com have a story about him, or Cincinnati, because I know they're upset with him.
Right.
I think they say he owes them $1 million.
Right. There's a lot of things coming out about him because he is now trying to get sued or getting sued for breach of contract by Cincinnati. So there's just a lot of things going on. Obviously, the optics make it look like this is a PR move to, I guess, draw sympathy. And maybe it worked on me. Maybe I'm just a very empathetic person, and I'm seeing the good in him actually like asking for help.
I have empathy for people that make mistakes, because we all make mistakes.
100%.
Right? But there's consequences to your mistakes, too.
Absolutely.
So I can still have empathy for a guy that probably was not thinking. I mean, if he's in rehab because he has an addiction problem, that is a sickness, as a mental illness, right? So that he can't control. Some people can't control it. I don't know enough about him or this situation. So you can have empathy, but there are, like, Texas Tech. So here's the real question. In the NFL, they do hours and hours and hours of investigation of people that they are potentially going to give millions of dollars to.
Right.
In college sports, these are typically one-year deals, right? Sometimes not even a one-year deal, right? There's these deals, and I don't know if they are going into that kind of detail for their star athletes. Texas Tech reportedly was offered him between $5 and $6 million to be their quarterback.
Goodness gracious, yeah.
That's what I heard Jake Crane say on his podcast. He may have gotten it somewhere. Whatever it is. If you are, and now they may not get him as their quarterback. So do they get any of that money back?
I would imagine that
was it front loaded?
Through a couple of repetitions of these cycles where deals are NIL driven, just from what I know about the A&M sports here, I would imagine there's more language being written into these contracts where you're getting chunks of money for games that you actually play, so teams are getting what they pay for.
Right.
But there's obviously some lump sums being given out for committing to play for that school. But there's obviously risk of injury. There's risk of a player not being eligible. There's risk of something like this happening where he may not even play at all next year. So I don't think Texas Tech would have written in his contract that he's getting all reported money up front.
But we don't know.
We don't know, but I can imagine after a couple repetitions of this and hearing how deals are written now, it would be not normal for them to front load a deal like that.
And then did they know at all? So
that's again, a good question.
Because it goes back to my NFL question. If the NFL spends, now those are longer deals, right? So we're not just talking about a 1 year, $4 million deal. You know, these guys are getting 3 to 5 year deals out of college, right? So is that going to be the direction that college athletics has to go? Because when you're investing that kind of money on young men who have never been alone, never, like, for the most part, right? Like, there are some other cases, but who have had their parents guiding them, and now they've got millions of dollars to their name. How much is going into their background for all these programs that are investing, right? Because I'm sure, now Cody Campbell's got all the money in the world, but there are probably some boosters out there that are like, I'm not going to, like, if you're not sure about this guy's character, about this guy's demons, why would I give you $4 or $5 million for him?
Right. And I think every single time a situation like this happens, it just creates more apprehension, more guardrails for the next year's boosters at school XYZ.
Right.
So I think people are going to look at this situation and say, all right, we need to do more background checking into who these athletes are that we're bringing in. Because when you recruit a kid in high school, you're getting to know them for multiple years, multiple different coaches come across them. But in that portal window, you're often getting a couple of weeks to do background checks and get to know them. So I would imagine there's going to be more background checking, more investigation into who these guys are. Whereas when you recruit them out of high school, you know exactly what their character is and if you're willing to take a risk on it or not. I don't know if Texas Tech knew there would be that much risk with Brendan Sorsby.
I don't think. But by the way, if there's a Brendan Sorsby, there's others.
Absolutely. And let's
be
completely honest.
Right?
Like the demographic of males that are in college and are using daily fantasy sports,
our daily fantasy sports expert,
or are gambling money is very high. Brendan Sorsby is guilty of it because he's a student athlete, and that is a no-no for athletes that play in the NCAA. So I'm just saying the people that he probably surrounds himself with are using DraftKings and FanDuel and Prize Picks like it's nothing. He's guilty of it because he is an amateur. Again, are these guys really amateurs anymore? Athlete. So I wonder if this sports realm ever becomes just contract-based and we treat them like they're pros, if gambling will no longer be looked at as a negative. But he is guilty of it because he's a student athlete. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay for the average Joe college kid to have a gambling addiction. Both of those people need help, and it's not right. But at the end of the day, it's a massive investigation because he plays for Texas Tech and not because he's a frat kid at Texas Tech.
All right. I think your generation, I might be wrong here. I'm obviously no fun Nuño, right? I get that, right? I didn't gamble. I've never laid out a bet for a sporting event.
You'll lay down bets in the office, though, like
for basketball.
Correct.
Yeah, for the hoop, to actually hoop.
Yeah.
For
continue.
Yeah. But I'm sure my generation, like I've done squares, by the way, at a Super Bowl squares.
Of course. Yeah.
I've done that.
It's coming back to him.
And I've done this.
It's coming back to him.
I've done the slots. Okay, like 5 times. But my point is, I should not speak for my generation.
Right.
But it feels like your generation do it more than I think mine did. And I'm just talking about like my sons.
You don't even have to justify it. Like it is completely.
My sons play poker every weekend.
Yeah, that is just kind of what this generation has become, where we are instant gratification driven. And what is more instant gratification than loading up some blackjack on your computer or betting on some dude's rebounds or points? Like that is just, it's become a way that watching sports has become more interesting because you can make money from it. And look, I'm not proud of what my generation does. Obviously, I don't partake in it all the time, but I would be lying if I said we don't have a great partnership with Prize Picks that allows me to do that and make pieces of content off of doing that.
But that you're not a student athlete, though.
That's correct. But what I'm saying is I am the demographic of 18 to 23-year-old male, and odds are that those are the players, those are your student athletes. Those are the guys that you root
that's
for
their circle of trust.
On Saturdays. Yes, I am the people that they surround themselves with. I am the average college kid that is friends with these people. So I'm saying Brendan Sorsby, his circle of people are likely partaking in that too, which makes it easy for him to want to do that.
And here's why I think, I'm not going to use any real names, all right? I'm going to use fake names. Pablo Escobar.
Great fake name.
Quarterback at Havana U. Okay.
Okay. Is that a college or what division?
I mean, there's the University of Havana, but there was at least.
Sun Belt. Go ahead.
They're in the Caribbean belt,
of course.
And Pablo, who's not Cuban, by the way, but he went to school there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good clarification.
Yeah, he's more from the Colombian team. Anyway, he is buddies with Nuke and Lawson. Okay. Nuke and Lawson. Okay. And they asked Pablo, "Hey, dude, you guys are playing Puerto Rico U. I'm getting everybody gets a U.
Right.
Do you think you're going to throw at least 3 or 4 touchdowns?" Oh, I've seen that defense. I'm going to throw it. Like, not that he can control the outcome of the game, but I'm curious that circle of trust, how it does affect what is happening.
I think that I'm not speaking from any personal experience. Let me clarify here, but I think that might be more common than you think it is. I think student athletes often are surrounded by people that are not all student athletes, and so I think letting information like that slip, I'm sure happens more often than we think it happens. But there's also situations where, like, what if somebody is not able to bet,
right?
And they tell, I don't know, maybe their translator to throw a couple bets on some stuff. Sorry, Richard. But there are ways around it for people who are not supposed to be gambling and not supposed to have their name attached to making bets to get around that. And maybe that means you have your translator throw a couple bucks on a couple bets here and there. I'm just saying there are ways to get around a student athlete or a professional athlete directly placing a bet. And people have gotten creative because obviously there is an addiction. And when you can't satisfy it, you have to look for other outlets to do it. And you can just tell somebody that's associated with you, put down X, Y, and Z. I'm just saying, like, there are ways around it. It's been well documented. Athletes have been caught. And that is because there's like serious gambling addiction problems in this country.
This is the low hour as of right now, brought to you by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We may change that name here in a minute when we hear some of the candidates that you folks did text into the Buppies. Well, actually, you would have called the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. If you text the show, though, we will pick it up on the Catalyst Pure Performance Energy text line, 979-693-1150. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Typically, OB and I are hanging out over there in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. We go around the room, we go left to right, we go behind the glass, we say hi to the director of the day, Nick Savage.
I haven't thought of any new names for this hour, but I mean, we're kind of talking about that situation back here, and I know this is kind of how it's handled in the pro leagues, but to me, I think in college, it needs to be handled similar ways. I don't think there should be much tolerance for this. If you get caught gambling, even on your own team, I think, being banned from the sport shouldn't be out of the question. And I know he needs help. Sure, he's getting it. Like y'all talked about, might be kind of a PR stunt because he knew something was coming out. But I think this is a big problem, and I think it should be dealt with and swiftly and set an example. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I couldn't read that because my eyes are terrible right now. Thank you,
Richard Zane sent me a text that said Shohei is innocent.
Yeah.
In the eyes of Luke Evangelist, he's guilty.
I don't know if you legally can say that or not.
My bad.
Yeah. TexAgs is not the views and opinions by guests on TexAgs are not represented by the company as a whole.
Wait, yeah. What's the phrase? Like, my opinions do not represent those who employ me.
Yeah. Can you find that?
Yeah.
Anyway, you can do that later. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Justin, the people have spoken. We've gotten several on YouTube. Do you want to tell us some of the nicknames for the hour?
Yeah, I can definitely read these out. We got Rancho Texano says Zany Hour, Cooper Patterson, the Beeve Hour.
The what?
The Beeve.
Beeve. Holy Hour, Power Hour, the Loon Hour, the Schmo Hour.
I like
the Nuke Hour.
Oh.
Yeah, so far these suck. Now, I do like the Evangelist Holy Hour.
The Evangelist Holy Hour.
Holy Evangelist.
Yeah, I like that.
So I guess I'd be the Holy One? That's a mistake. Just wait till I go to rehab.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get some news in here so it's not a just complete waste of a segment.
Yeah, I'll start with some SEC nominees for Scholar Athletes of the Year. We got
Brendan
Caitlin
Sorsby.
Owens, swim and dive, and then Luke Evangelist's friend, Sam Whitmarsh from track and field, are nominated for Scholar Athletes of the Year. Big stuff for them. I also wanted to discuss some women's basketball transfer portal news because yesterday they got Essence Cody from Alabama. Joni Taylor's putting together a transfer squad that consists of many different SEC talents. We got Kanaya Boyd from Tennessee, Maya Verse from Georgia, and Kaylin Gilbert from LSU.
Excellent stuff there. Let's hit a break. When we come back, we'll do our performance of the week, and we got to get some basketball in while you're
Absolutely,
here. We got to talk about this portal. Have you or have you not been to 1775?
I have.
When's the last time?
I've only been once. It was a couple months ago.
What'd you order?
Brisket.
Yeah, this is not gonna be as funny as OB for the record.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we're just.
Well, because David and OB love meat, and they love to make jokes about meat, and they love to talk about meat, which is why 1775 is such a great sponsor for them. Because there are no two bigger meat lovers than David and Olin.
Why did your voice crack? Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I like to eat protein, Luke.
Wait,
some of us have muscles.
You like to eat
protein.
meat.
Yes. Some of us have muscles.
Yes.
Some of us are on a vegan diet half the time, and that's the difference. So I go to 1775 for the size, and I think you should go a little bit more often.
Right, I should go more often. You know what? We need a company outing at 1775.
You know what? I might take you. As long as you don't get in trouble for doing stuff you shouldn't be doing. I'll take you to 1775.
Thank you.
The website is 1775txbbq.com. Call them up, 979-492-6241. It is 1775. Luke, OB says here, and it's good.
And it's good.
Hey everyone, David Nuño here of TexAgs Live. I want to introduce you to the team at Holistic Planning. Got Jason Barber here, Taylor Pankratz, and also Paul Meredith. Jason, I want to start off with you. What really sets Holistic Planning apart from the others?
Yeah, so what makes us different is most financial advisors stop at investment management. On the other hand, Holistic Planning, we manage investments, taxes, and estate planning all on one team, all underneath one roof.
Now, Taylor, when everything is coordinated like that, it really helps the bottom line, doesn't it?
It really does. When your investments and taxes are working together, you stop leaving money on the table and keep more of what's yours.
Paul, Holistic Planning is trying to expand as well.
That's true. We just opened our Houston office, and we're looking for people who feel like their advisor isn't seeing the full picture, because that's exactly what we fix.
And Jason, there's other opportunities beyond that.
Definitely. If you're a financial advisor and you want to join the Holistic Planning team, we're looking to add 50 teams in the next 5 to 10 years. So check out holisticplanning.com/advisors.
All right, so if you want a team that actually coordinates everything, go to holisticplanning.com. Aggies, this one is worth it.
Howdy, Aggies. This is Texas A&M quarterback Marcel Reed, and you're listening to TexAgs Live on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
How about that production? Oh, you didn't have your headphones on?
I don't have.
Oh, I said to listen up. Thanks for trying to. My goodness.
I thought I was going to like hear it through your headphones.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, you
really
probably have it that high
creepy. No. It must suck for me to be just about better at everything in life than you. I'm just kidding. You're definitely a better gambler than me. It's the Low Hour presented by The Warehouse and CC Creations. My good buddy, Luke Evangelist, David Nuño. OB's on assignment, doing something, I don't know. Anyway, it's time to do the Knockout Performer of the Week, brought to you by TKO Equipment. Rent, sell, lease, or rent to buy TKO Equipment, which is your trusted source for used heavy equipment. I'm going to run through these so we get into some basketball.
Right.
Gavin Grahovic, how about the week he had? 6 for 10 across 3 games, 2 homers, 12 home runs in his last 15 games. Charean Williams just dominating.
He has to be like all-time performer of the week, like until further notice. Like he's automatic performer of the week.
I mean, he's fantastic, yes.
Yes.
But I just said a guy that just did just as good a second ago or better.
You know, but but like Charean, he's like 18 years old.
He's like the Auburn basketball team from 24 that you said was the greatest of all time.
Continue with your performance.
Clayton Freshcorn, 4 1/3 combined innings, 6 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, 2 saves, number 8 and 9. Congratulations to him. I think Bear Harrison deserves some props on this one. Justin, you got some softball names for us?
Yeah, this weekend wasn't the biggest offensive weekend, but definitely in pitching was great with Sydney Lessentine. She had a complete game, 3 hits, only 1 run allowed, and 3 strikeouts in the 1 win they had from the weekend.
Luke, I'm going to allow you to suggest somebody. I'm going to assume you would suggest Bucky McMillan and his staff.
I'm going to suggest Bucky McMillan, his staff, and the big money donors that made this transfer portal class possible. This is exactly what Bucky came here for, to have a program that is fully bought in to basketball, to have this staff around him, to have donors that have never been more bought into the image of A&M basketball than right now, and to have a fan base that is fully behind him. And I think we've seen with these portal additions and the high school recruiting and their retention of talent that A&M basketball, the projected trajectory has never been more up. That arrow is pointing incredibly up with the roster they've got. They have potential All-American in PJ Haggerty. They have potential All-SEC talent in Bryson Warren and Mackenzie Mbako. And the depth that they have behind them is phenomenal. I think Jalen Shelley, out of all the guys that Bucky would talk about either before or after they landed them, I don't know if I heard as much excitement in his voice outside of PJ Haggerty than about Jalen Shelley. I truly think this guy is a hidden gem. He might be the key to this team next year. A 6'8" wing. He's an improving three-point shooter, but he is just so athletic and he gets downhill. So he shot 28% from 3 last year, but he shot 32% in conference play. He just wasn't taking the right shots, but they don't need him to be a high-volume three-point shooter. They just need the occasional Ollie Diba, couple threes a game, and try and get up to 35%. But they love his athleticism and his projected role that he could have on this team. There's just so much size. There's so much discussion about A&M doesn't have a 7-footer. Like, is this roster even taller? Guys, they're going to go from being bottom 110 in average height to, if they had this roster last year, they would have been top 60 nationally in average height. I promise you the height has been solved. They have more height at every single position. And obviously a 6'8" guy on the wing is going to be a huge part of that when it was essentially 6'5" Rylan Griffin there last season.
So help me understand, for those of us, that was our first view into Bucky ball. It's not a complete representation of what he wants to do.
Correct.
Because that team was more, because of need, they scored a lot from the paint.
Correct. So the way that they put that roster together was they didn't have the time or the players available to put it together in their image of what they want Bucky ball to be. Obviously, we know 81 of the top 100 players were not even available. The other 19, they probably didn't even have the time to get their foot in the door for. Landing McKenzie was huge. I hope everybody sees the caliber of player that he can be this year if he stays fully healthy. But they had to put that together with one thing in mind, and it was, how can we score as many points as possible? And they did that with Rashawn Agee. They did that with a lot of guys that could shoot threes, but really didn't have much skill sets outside of that. So there were a lot of players on that team that were not necessarily known for defense, and Bucky was able to get them to buy into a vision of playing team defense together, and ultimately they were a top 3 in defensive efficiency in the SEC. I am now excited to see just how many more turnovers they can force, just how much more havoc they can wreak with guys on this team that are actually legitimate elite perimeter defenders. Like PJ Haggerty does not get enough credit because he was on a abysmal Kansas State team, but when he is a active and willing defender, he will be probably top 2 on this team in steal percentage. PJ Haggerty can be a legitimate defender, and I know we only think about him as probably leading the country in scoring next year, but he is a 6'4", big body, active defender. Tyshawn Archie is one of the most aggressive on-ball point of attack defenders that I saw last year. He was a menace at McNeese, a McNeese team that led the country in turnover and steal percentage, and he was second in the entire conference in steals.
They were with us in Oklahoma City, right?
Yes, and I watched Tyshawn Archie put a clinic on Tyler Tanner, Duke Miles, a lot of those really sure-handed Vanderbilt guards. Look, they have elite defensive pieces in the backcourt next year. They have size in the backcourt. And then the front court, I know the question is, well, they don't have a center. How are they going to replace Rashawn Agee? Cade Phillips, to me, is the key of he has those leadership intangibles that we all love Rashawn for. And I was at practice last year before Rashawn even got there, and it was quiet, and there was no leader, there was no direction, there was limited team chemistry. The moment Rashawn got there, it was like, okay, they're a team now. And I can really see more guys talking. I can see Marcus Hill talking more because Rashawn is. I see guys like McKenzie, who's a very quiet, soft-spoken guy, finding more of his voice on the court because of Rashawn Agee. Cade Phillips is going to be that guy, that veteran leader that this team needs. And if he stays healthy, that is one of the best rebounders in the entire SEC and a guy who is really dominant at the rim. He's a physical defender. He can block shots. And he's going to give you a little bit more of what Rashawn had, but he's 6'9". And now, obviously, the people are like, okay, they don't have a center. Well, if you saw what the center market looks like and how confident they are in what they have in Jamie and Cade and Zach, who are 4s that can play the 5, they're going to roll with the rotation that they have where, look, you don't need a true 7-footer to play this system. They are going to roll with a front court rotation of Mackenzie Mbako, Cade Phillips, Zach Clements, and a big year 2 jump from Jamie Vinson. And ultimately, I feel confident, and if that staff is confident in the pieces they have and they can develop in-house, then I'm confident in them too. People forget they also have a 6'11", top 60 freshman in Josh Irving, who is probably he might be a better three-point shooter than Jamie is at this point right now. If you get him to really develop this offseason, I wouldn't be surprised to see him play a role that Jamie had last year, getting 6 to 7 minutes a game.
And then playing more by the end of the year.
Exactly. Like they have pieces that they really like. And at the end of the day, they are going to be driven by their backcourt. They have more backcourt talent. I mean, we haven't even mentioned Jalen Reese, who is a really true, really fun to watch point guard that did a lot for LSU last year. They like the pieces they have in that backcourt to carry this team. And I think the top end talent they have is going to carry this team really far. I think 75% of their production will come from Bryson Warren, PJ Haggerty, and Mackenzie Mbako, and those are 3 All-SEC potential players.
Hey, and then we were 5 minutes late, so Brian Broadcasting is coming after you. Before we go and before we call Charean, are they better talent-wise right now than they were a year ago?
Yes, 100%. They have, and you saw, that's not to discredit the talent that was on this team last year, because a lot of those guys were very talented, and they were able to buy into Bucky's system. But the raw, pure talent that they have, I mean, they didn't have a single player outside of Rashawn Agee average more than 11 points per game. And PJ Haggerty is going to probably score combined what A&M's top 2 leading scorers did last year. Wow. So they have a legitimate All-American potential player in PJ Haggerty. We haven't had that here since Wade Taylor. They have All-SEC talent behind him. Like if it was PJ Haggerty and the power of friendship, I'd be questioning it. But if they get Bryson Warren cleared and Mackenzie Mbako is the player that I saw last summer, they're going to have potentially 3 first, second, and third team All-SEC nominees.
All right, we got to hit a break there. Charean's probably very upset with you, but you did a
My
great
bad,
job.
Charean.
Great job. All right, we're talking about Guaranty Bank and Trust, established back in 1913, so over 100 years of experience serving Texans as one of your most beloved community banks. They're very respected. They've got 3 locations in the Bryan-College Station area, but they're all over Texas. You can find 33 great locations from Texas, from East Texas to DFW to Houston to Central Texas, and as I mentioned right here in Bryan-College Station. Wherever you are in Texas, Guaranty Bank and Trust is going to make local decisions with people that you know and trust. I know a bunch of those guys. Brandon is fantastic. He is the market president. Spent some time in his office with Jared Salvato. And I'm telling you, when you meet these guys, you're probably going to talk some Aggie athletics with them, and they love to do that. But they're just deeply invested in this community and making sure that you are able to accomplish all of your goals, if that's home ownership, financial education, whatever it may be, long-term planning. Let the good folks at Guaranty Bank and Trust take care of you. Check out the website, gnty.com. gnty.com. That is Guaranty Bank and Trust, a division of Glacier Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hoping the folks at Bryan Broadcasting can call Charean Williams from Pro Football Talk, the Aggie great. We'll get her on the Buppies Catering and Bartending hotline. I also did want to bring up, so when Luke was doing the show, and he may pop in again, some of the names that came in. Probably my favorite name on this one is on the DL. Good job there, Eric. Why is that your favorite? I just think it fits. Because
it fits one person up here, maybe, not me.
Well, you work on the down low, getting your sources and your information. I was trying to give you props as a rising reporter.
Oh wait, really? I appreciate that.
Yeah, so you took it to mean something else, and I think that's like on the down low, you're working. You're beneath all that.
We're both on the down low. We're both
okay.
Go ahead.
Let's go to the Buppies Catering and Bartending hotline. Joined by Charean, the Dream Williams. Charean, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing today?
Doing wonderful. OB has a meeting, so it's just me here in the studio right now. I wanted to talk about the record-setting weekend it was for Texas A&M, 10 draft picks. You put the number last week at around 9.5, and they certainly took. And you said you would take the over.
Yeah, well, I hit it right on, pretty much. Yeah, it was a very successful draft for A&M, and I think it speaks volumes to the type of talent that they're getting into the program. Now, the problem is as Texas had last year, is replacing those 10 players plus all the undrafted that you signed who played such a big role, like Le'Veon Moss and York and on and on and on. There were a bunch of them. So it wasn't just the 10. It was several more, I think, 5 or 6 that signed as undrafted free agents. Jacob Graham was one. And so you lose all those guys, and now you have to replace them. And that's the hard part, is trying to replace them. But you do have your quarterback back. But, yeah, it's just a good sign for the program and the way that it's going. And you see the recruiting class that Elko is putting together, number 1 in the country. I think it tells you just the type of talent that he's bringing in. And to me, the key thing was a lot of those were portal additions. So you see how good he is at assessing talent that he's seen on the field playing college to know that they fit A&M system and they're going to be good pro players. And I think that speaks a lot, too.
How surprised were you that Nate Borkature went in the second round?
Yeah, I was, and I think everybody was. But if you start asking around, I think a lot of people had him higher than most people thought. And so, that's where they had him on their draft board, and they think he's going to be a good tight end in the NFL. They think A&M underutilized him in the passing game, and maybe they did. We're going to find out. And they think he can be a very good blocker, and I think he showed that in college. That he is a good blocker. And I do think he's probably a better receiver. I mean, we saw the big touches that he had last year. But I think he probably is a better receiver than what his stats show that he was. Because people just look at the stats who haven't seen A&M play, and they look at those stats, look at what he did at Nebraska, look at what he did at A&M, and say, why are they taking this guy in the second round? And I get that. You don't take just pass-blocking tight ends or run blocking tight ends in the second round. You need them to catch as well. That's what the game has evolved to. And so they think he can be very good at that. We're going to find out. They may be proved right. I think he's got a good chance to prove them right.
Is there someone from the 10 guys drafted you see, hey, he's got a chance to play not just a little bit, but a lot?
Well, I think there's a lot of those guys. I think Cassius Howell probably feels like he has a chip on his shoulder for what he did statistically last year. And, Shamar Stewart didn't have nearly the college career that Cassius Howell had. The numbers he put on the field in the SEC, by the way, and went in the second round. And it's all the short arms. So I think he's got a chance to be way better than where he was drafted. It's not like he was drafted super low, but, I know he felt like he was a first-round draft pick, and I feel like he was a first-round draft pick. So I think he's going to come out, show people that he should have been a first-round draft pick, and I think he's going to be very, very good. And that's going to be interesting to see which one of those guys turns out better, since they're playing on the same team. Will be super interesting to me. But, a lot of those guys, we saw them play. I mean, I would think when you watch them that you think a lot of them have a chance to be really good. NFL players, solid players. Maybe they don't go to the Hall of Fame, but they certainly have a chance to stick around for longer than the NFL average, which is 4 years right now. And I think a lot of those guys can stick around for longer than 4 years and have successful NFL careers. I think E.J. Smith, we talked about him a couple weeks ago. I think E.J. Smith signing with the Chiefs was a good signing for the Chiefs, even if he ends up on the practice squad. I think they'll have a guy that can contribute on special teams and do all the things that you want an NFL player. He's going to be very good. I think he's got a chance to stick, and some of those others, Le'Veon Moss obviously has a chance to stick, and York has a chance to stick. So even some of those undrafted guys, I think, have a chance to have very successful NFL careers.
Charean, I definitely want to ask you about the local teams or the state teams, but have you seen the story on Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech? And, if you have, or if you haven't, he got in trouble or he's going into rehab for gambling addiction. And I'm just curious what the NFL does when it comes to research, and maybe if we will see that same kind of plan in college, since they are spending millions of dollars on these athletes.
Yeah, I don't know that he ever plays again. I don't know how he plays again. I think his career's probably over. The NFL has given some guys a chance to come back when they've been suspended a year, some less than a year. But being a quarterback and the amount of bets that it sounds like that he put on games, on college games, I would be very, very surprised if we ever see him play a down of football again. And I'm talking about either in college or in the NFL. He may play in whatever, USL or whatever else you want to talk about, but I'm talking about college and the NFL. I'd be very surprised if you see that. And I think college has a huge problem, and I think it's sitting there on the surface that, I don't think he's the only one that has this, that does this, that needs help, and, is probably going to be kicked out of college football. And so they're going to have to do something to address it. To whatever that enforcement is, that to me is bigger than anything else that college football has going on right now, or college sports. They need to have an enforcement to try to curtail what's going on, and it's hard with the number of athletes that they're trying to monitor. It's just nearly impossible to do. But every college needs to have somebody on staff that's monitoring these kids' social media and the gambling sites and everything else to try to do the best you can to ensure that they're not gambling on things that they shouldn't be gambling on. They shouldn't be gambling at all, but they shouldn't certainly be gambling on the sport that they play, and it sounds like that's exactly what he did.
Charean, last thing for you. Texans and Cowboys, how do you think they did?
Yeah, I think the Cowboys had a successful draft. I think they improved their defense, which they needed to do. Caleb Downs is one of the best players in the draft and will help them immensely. And, some people were saying, well, why do you spend, the 11th overall pick on a safety? And my response to that is, when's the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl when they didn't have a Hall of Fame caliber safety? Because they had Cliff Harris when they won their Super Bowls in the 70s, the two of them. And then in the 90s, it was Darren Woodson, albeit he was a rookie in 1992, only started 2 games, but he did play an integral part in that team, even in 92. And then he was a big part of the 93-95 team. So you have to have, in my mind, and you think about all the great safeties that have won Super Bowls from, John Lynch to Ed Reed to whoever you want to, Troy Polamalu, whoever you want to talk about, every team, almost every team, not every team, but almost every team has had a great safety. And when you have a great safety like that, I think you've got a chance to have your quarterback on the defense, and you don't have to worry, in the case of Caleb Downs, like Darren Woodson, about substitution defenses, because you have Caleb Downs. He can play all 3 downs for you. And the Texans, I think they did okay. They've had some problems in the offensive line figuring out who to draft. And maybe they did better this year. We're going to find that out. But they have not done a good job of assessing offensive linemen in the draft, a very poor job, in fact. And that's why they've been in the trouble they've been in, and the offensive line just can't get it right. So maybe they got it right this year. We're going to find that out. But they did spend a lot of draft capital on offensive linemen, which they needed to.
Charean, great stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
Charean Williams here on the Bubby's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break and then a very short segment. It's TexAgs. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That is at 10:50, but right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. All right, so Scott Livingstone going to be joining us at 9 o'clock, just a recent addition to the program. Looking forward to chatting with our buddy. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Justin, I'm sure you've got something great to talk about.
Yeah, I wanted to break down softball really quick. I know we have like a minute, but this is the final weekend of their regular season, and they host number 1 Oklahoma, so it's a massive weekend. If they are able to make some waves and actually sweep the number 1 team, they have an opportunity to be the number 1 seed in the SEC. There's some other things at play. Obviously, Texas is, I believe, a game ahead. So is Alabama and Florida, but they all have ranked matchups this week. So softball's got a huge setup this week. I know we're probably going to talk to Trisha Ford later in the week, but softball, big stuff this weekend against Oklahoma at home. So show up.
When's the last time Oklahoma was swept?
It's a great question. Probably.
Maybe never?
Yeah, sure.
In the history of the world? Actually, I don't know. I Googled it, and it just told me they just swept number 11 Georgia. So, but I asked why do they never get swept? Because they're really good. And so is Trisha Ford and the Aggies. So we'll talk to her tomorrow on the program. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back, we're going to live with Livingstone next on TexAgs Live. And we are back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Garner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to an All-American who played third base at Texas A&M, a good friend of the show, Scott Livingstone, joining us on the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. Scott, what's up, buddy?
Appreciate you having me on.
There he is. Hey, bud. Great to have you back on the show. So I guess let's just start things off with another series win, man. And I looked at this part of the schedule, and it's still ongoing, by the way, because they still got a ways. But and I was like, man, I hope they can do, stay around 500. They've certainly eclipsed that.
No, you're exactly right, because I did the same thing. When I looked at the schedule, I was like, okay, LSU on the road, Florida on the road. Oh boy, this is going to really tell us what we have here. And I think it did. I mean, even though LSU's down a little bit, still doesn't matter. Tough to play. They're still going to have a good team, good pitching and stuff like that. And of course, Auburn and, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, everybody's in the SEC rankings or standings. Everybody's within a game or two. Everybody's bunched up right there. So it's really pretty even.
I'm not going to say that this is who they are. They're just going to sweep opponents and win every series. The SEC is too tough of a conference. But this now feels to me, Scott, that this is who they are more like. Like, this is not just, a streak. This is the kind of baseball team we have, and we've seen it for most of this entire season.
No, I agree. I mean, it's been so consistent throughout. And early on, winning the games that we were supposed to win and not losing it, we would have found a way to lose them maybe last year. But the way that they're playing now, yes, I've said it before, we have a really good team. It is a really good team. And when I looked at the rankings a long time ago, it was UCLA and everybody else. But now you can start to see the different tiers, and we're up there maybe in tier 2.
Talking to Scott Livingstone here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Garner's Jewelers. Check out the Ball 5 podcast. All right, so this little run, and I say little, it's been 15 games. Gavin Grohovic, 12 home runs in his last 15 games. Early in the season, he was having a really good season. We just weren't seeing home runs. Now he's still having a really good season, and we're seeing a lot of home runs.
Yeah, I think he's always been capable. I mean, he's a super talent, as everyone knows. And I think it just took him a little while to get going, and he's kind of slowed everything down. And, we have to remember he missed a year, kind of like Shane Sadeo. And, it does take a little time to get back into it. And he's just put the work in. And like Coach Early talks about these guys all the time, they go in the cage no matter how good they are, and they do their work. And, it doesn't matter what it takes to get it done. Gavin's going to work at it.
Whenever the last incarnation of A&M baseball was happening, and we had, these guys that could hit home runs, and we had this amazing closer, and we knew that program. It seemed like last year with all the injuries and some unknowns because young players having to step up, I feel like we're starting to get to that with this team, Evan Oschenbeck was such a stud at the end. Clayton Freshcorn is becoming that stud for this team.
Yeah, he is. And I think when you look at the whole piece of the team, everybody's kind of starting to gel. It's a team. There's not just that certain superstar, right? There's everybody throughout the whole lineup's getting it done. And that's the whole idea of having a team and playing a complete game with a complete team. And that's what they have. And I mean, kudos to those guys and the coaches for gelling and coming together at this point in the season where it's, these are the dog days. This is when it gets rough in the conference, man. And they're stepping up to the plate and getting it done. And yeah, Freshcorn, man, I love when he comes in the game and the attitude that he has. And I mean, yeah, he's getting it done for us.
And then Gavin Lyons has been such a bridge, 8-0 on the year. He's been fantastic. What a swing man to have on your roster.
Oh, man, I talked to Aiden on the podcast, and we were talking about Gavin. I'm like, these guys throw pitches that move like Bugs Bunny pitches. I mean, the movement on them, but they can throw it anytime they want. And, 8-0, especially out of the bullpen, that's pretty amazing. And but he's done the job. He's kind of that shutdown middle guy that everybody's relying on. And I feel really good and confident when he comes in the game.
I don't have your stats in front of me, so forgive me. But do you remember what your freshman year looked like and how long it took to kind of feel like you were going to be an integral part?
It took a while because, back in the day, I've said it before, it's like when you were a freshman, they made sure you knew you were a freshman. and now it's kind of a different culture and different era that everybody's the same. And, my freshman year, I think it was pretty good. I actually was thinking about this the other day when I was thinking about Nico. I think he's hit 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I had 10 or 11. I'm not sure. But I was nervous. I mean, I was intimidated a little bit. I was nervous a little bit. And these guys aren't really showing that. I think the programs that they go through during the summer and the summer ball and the competition that they play has got them ready for this point.
Well, and the reason I bring that up is it's one thing to have a Nico participating and a Boston and a Jorian, like to hit three integral parts of your team, defensively, offensively, and with Jorian, it was kind of like I don't want to call it a slow build, but they took the necessary time to get him ready and adjusted to this level of play. But they've hit, like they're not where they are without those three freshmen.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, when we talk about this team can bang and we got a good team, it includes those three guys. And along with Jorian, yes, they were able to bring him along slowly because of what they had with everybody else. And being able to bring him along like that and bring him slow and give him the time to work through some things and gain some experience, yeah, I think that's been because of the talent that they had in the rest of the lineup and even on the bench. So having those guys, the freshmen, come in and play the way that they're playing, Boston solidifying shortstop, Jorian doing his, things that he does at the plate and out in the outfield, and obviously Nico, me being a third baseman, that kid's making some great plays. And so is Boston in the infield. So, yes, to have those guys on an important side of the infield is huge. It's huge.
So let's go back to pitching, but just focus on the starters for a moment. I know you mentioned you had Aiden on recently. When you look at these three guys and what they've been able to do, and it's interesting because I think Aiden's been the model of consistency. And then you've had Shane's ups and downs and the same with Weston. But recently, the downs aren't as down. And if they are, the team seems to pick them back up.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Sadeo and Moss may be kind of feeding off Aiden a little bit. And there's always a little competitive fire in there within you. You're not going against each other, but you still want to do as well as the other guy. And I think with what Aiden has been doing, has shown Sadeo and Moss that, hey, you know what? We need to just let this go. We can count on Aiden's going to be there for us. We need to just relax. We don't have to carry this team and carry the load on the pitching mound and get things done on our own. And plus, with the emergence of the bullpen and how the roles have kind of fallen into place, I think it just gives the starting guys some more confidence to just go out there and let's get it done. And plus, putting up 6, 7, 8 runs a game doesn't hurt either.
Talking to Scott Livingstone here on TexAgs Live. Scott, one of the things that I was impressed with, and maybe I shouldn't be that impressed with it, it's baseball, but we had seen this formula after the Vanderbilt series of winning the Friday game and then, doing whatever necessary had to be done to make sure that you won that series. Luckily for a couple series, they didn't need to use Weston Moss in those first couple. That being said, they lose to Florida on a Friday night, and then they were just the better team from that point on.
Yeah, well, you know what? You ran into Aiden King that night, and that was a tall task. And Auburn lost one game to Florida as well, and I believe it was to Aiden King as well. So he's tough, and I said it in my podcast. I said I really believe that these guys, if we faced him again, we'd do a lot better, and we'd get a better piece of him because they're just going to learn and grow from it. And being able to bounce back from things like that. You hear these guys talk about just flush it, just let it go. Oh, I gave up a home run. Okay, so what? Next pitch, strike one. I think that mentality of these guys of, I struck out at home plate. You know what? Next guy up, I'm going to do the best I can next time around. So it's a total team concept built by Coach Early and Pennington and Kelly and those guys, and they've done an awesome job.
One of the things I really have appreciated about this season is, and look, the wins make you look at everything in this kind of light, but even before the wins, they had some issues last year that they have completely corrected. One of the best defensive teams in the country. 983, I think they're fielding at. Just talk a little bit about that. Some of the same players and just a new philosophy and just this willingness to be one of the better defensive teams in the country.
Well, I think we have to give a lot of credit to Coach Pennington as well for him coming on the staff. I think that was a huge. I kind of kid around that, hey, he was the biggest transfer portal get, that we could get. But, he's just done a masterful job. And the track record that he has as a coach and base runner and stuff like that, teaching those types of things, he's just really done a great job with those young guys. And, you go back to you asking me about my freshman numbers. I wasn't as good a third baseman as Nico. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. So, all right, this weekend against Auburn, what are you looking for? What are you focusing on that could be the difference in this series?
I'd like to get a great start on Friday. Everybody coming out, and I'd like to see Sadeo start to become the Shane Sadeo that we expected at the beginning of the year, and start to work into those deeper into the game, and just go a little bit longer, because I think you had Kyle Peterson on and he was talking about regionals or something like that. And it said that, you can really go into those regionals and you only use 4 or 5 pitchers, right? But that's if everything's working out correctly and everybody's getting some distance and not always having to rely on fresh corn and Vargas and Darden and Lyons and those guys, and just see the starters maybe go a little deeper. I'd really like to see that, because then that will help our bullpen and our depth down the line.
How much deeper you think would be ideal?
How much deep what?
How much deeper from your starters do you think would be ideal? Get to 6?
Oh, yeah, definitely 6. If they can get to 6, and then I feel like we can do 1 or 2 innings, 7, 8, and then bring in fresh corn for 9, because then he's, lack of a better term, fresher for the rest of the weekend.
Scott, the thing that I've actually marveled at is that you compare A&M's pitching staff to others, and just this past weekend against Florida and then against LSU. They have so many different guys that they can go to. A&M doesn't have that. They don't have the depth, but the depth that they have has been resilient. And you can count on them back-to-back nights in certain instances.
No, you're right, because you always hear about, LSU and Florida. They got all these bullets that come out of the bullpen. They got these draft choices and stuff that are available that are supposed to happen after the year's over. But our guys have come in and done the job. Like I said, I feel good when Lyons comes in. I feel like Darden's taking a step forward. Vargas, we're going to get him going. But, if we can bridge that gap to fresh corn, I feel in really good shape that they can get it done. And plus, with the guys hitting, that's a big thing. But there are going to be times when the hitting is going to get shut down. It's going to happen. We saw it Friday at Florida. So having that pitching staff kind of understand their roles, the starter go a little bit longer, and I would like maybe a little extra pitcher from the bullpen, maybe a Cunningham or somebody like that, just that extra arm. But, everybody's been really good out of the bullpen, I believe.
So offensively, if you could point at one thing that, I like what they're doing here. Obviously, they're mashing, but I'd like to see this as we move forward. Is there something offensively you'd like to see them maybe take a step forward at?
I've always I always like a complete team, like Coach Early says, right? But I also like to see maybe a little bunting or a little push bunting or things like that. But most of the guys aren't capable of that. You'd rather them swing the bat. But that would be TK maybe dropping a bunt down, or I don't know if that was a hit and run with Joring where he scored from first or not. But, I'm an aggressive hitter at the plate. I liked what they did against Aiden King. I think it was swing early, swing often, because he didn't walk people. And I'd like to see some more aggressiveness at the plate, but that's not the model that they work off of. But so I'd like to see a little bit more just, spunt this guy over at this point or something like that, because it is going to be needed down the road.
Scott, what's the latest with the podcast?
The podcast is going really good. I don't know if you know, but we started a Ball 5 Clubhouse YouTube channel now.
All right.
And and so now it's kind of taken over my career, and we've rebuilt the room in the house, and I found a bunch of stuff in my parents' attic of old stuff. I found a ticket stub, David, that may be in your price range. It was $4.50 for a 1989 Southwest Conference tournament baseball game.
$4.50. Okay,
so
perfect. That is my price range.
Anymore.
Well, that's fantastic, Scott. We'll talk to you very soon, man. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Scott Livingstone there on the Bumpy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Always appreciate his insight. breaks down the team, has a great relationship with those young guys, and has done wonderful work. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. I want us to listen to our interview with Jamarian Morrow. I had him in studio yesterday with our Texas Aggies United interviews on the huddle. It was great. We'll catch up with him, find out his thoughts after the spring game and what's the latest with that running back room. Right now, I want to talk about Heritage Films. They're preserving family stories that would be otherwise lost forever. So I have a buddy. His name is Chance McClain. More than a buddy. He hired me back in the day when I was starting my sports radio career in between my TV time. And Chance is just a guy who's just so creative, who knows how to tell people stories. And he's been doing that with Heritage Films for the last 5 years. He basically will take your story, he'll put it on film, and you'll watch your documentary and be like, dude, I didn't know I paid for Netflix still. Like, I thought I canceled that membership a long time ago. No, he's going to make sure that you get your family story told the right way, the kind of story that will be preserved for the future generations. He is a wizard at telling people stories. He's traveled the nation, spending weeks, crafting your story meticulously. He's done a wonderful job, and you will regret not capturing these moments for the future generations. Call him up, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or visit yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com. You heard me just say it. The difference is real. Rollo Insurance. Insurance decisions shouldn't be made quickly. All right, you need somebody who knows your situation. That's what they do at the Rollo Insurance Group. They build lasting relationships through education, helping you understand what you're buying and the why behind it. They have expertise in everything from home to auto to business and specialty coverage. Their independent agents do provide options tailored to your specific need. They are wonderful. I have Morgan taking care of my account. They take time to explain the policy in plain language, and I go to lunch all the time with Morgan. He's fantastic. But they have this educational approach that will empower you to make informed decisions. Many clients discover better protection at competitive rates simply because they finally understand their options. Visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. So Jamari Morrow, had him in studio yesterday afternoon. It's great to catch up with him. And he was great. He talked a little bit about the spring game, talked about the running back room. And I remember him being so explosive during the spring game. And he kind of told me, and I want you to listen to it, I'm not going to tell you exactly what he says, but he tells me that midway through camp, something changed. So take a listen to my interview with Jamari Morrow.
Hey friends, welcome into The Huddle, brought to you by TexAgs and United, sponsored by the 12th Man Foundation. Our guest is Jamari Morrow, my long-lost good buddy. What's up, man?
How you doing?
Been a minute,
yeah.
Like 2 weeks.
Yeah, not too long.
So actually probably been a little bit longer than that. The last time we spoke, you were having a great camp. Then the spring game happened. And I was told, and you and I were talking about it before, that you had a really good first half of camp. But then like something clicked in the second half where you even took it to a different level. Kind of take me through that.
I was just trying to see how I felt at like 210. I had to like gain a little more weight. And then I wasn't really feeling it. Didn't feel as explosive as I was. So I got down, tried to lose a little weight and see how I felt there. And that's probably the best I've felt since I've been here.
Well, that's one of the things we were talking about is like, to me, you still look just as, you know.
Just a lot of lean.
It's
lean
body
muscle.
recomp, right? You just lost a little bit of weight and put some more muscle on.
Right.
Well, explosiveness was not a problem in the spring game. You were running through that hole. So talk to me. I see runs of 23, 19, 14, 13, I think, 80 yards on the day?
It was an amazing blocking. A lot of the holes was like wide open. You just had to wait on the hole and just hit it. That's pretty much all it was. Yeah.
But when you hit that hole, you hit that hole.
Yeah. Wish I would have took something home, man.
Talk to me about the development of a running back. Like, I'm assuming, I didn't play, especially running back. Like, when you're in high school, I'm assuming, like, you hit the hole, you do your thing. But as the competition gets bigger, you really do got to wait on that hole to open up from your block.
Yeah. My first 3 years of high school, I was like straight, little league, straight downhill, running as fast as I can. When I got to like 12th grade is when I probably got my best, like just being patient and like slow through it, fast through it. Like slow to it, fast through it is pretty much, how it is now.
One of the things that I saw from you, and tell me if I'm right here, not only were you patient picking your holes and the blocking was there, but you also made people miss. You also like ran through people. There was like this aggressiveness to your running.
Right. Just trying to like know when it's time to do certain things. I feel like I felt a better groove with the more carries that I got.
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
Talk to me about the rest of the group, the running backs. You got a little bit of KJ finally, Rube doing his thing.
Yeah, KJ caught it in the back end. KJ been doing really good, actually. He looks really good.
Yeah.
Really explosive, really, like, ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, Ruben, just taking that role. He's an older guy now. Yeah, we
knows what to do.
Yeah, we pretty much know what to expect. Yeah, and Carson been, like, he's been taking strides for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talk to me about Tiger.
Tiger, that's my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tiger, man, he big.
Yeah.
That's like our bigger back right now. Yeah.
So with that much talent in the backfield, like there's a lot of different options for you guys, right?
Right.
Talk to me about that. Like, I mean, because to me, and I don't know, like I feel like you can be a power back.
Right.
You can be a back that makes people miss. You're kind of a little bit of catch-all, and you can catch out of the backfield.
So I would say like everybody brings like a different type of flavor to it, but we all like just ready whenever our name's called, pretty much. Yeah.
Can some of those young guys maybe take on that role you had last year? Where
definitely.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We're not like as deep, like we don't have as many running backs that we had last year, but definitely they probably have a little bigger role than I had actually.
Well, and part of that might be also because it's kind of a young room, right?
Right.
You got Rube, and then I mean you're the next veteran guy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? Last year you had EJ, who was an older player, right? Like
Yeah,
Lev was an
Amari.
older player.
Yeah,
Amari.
It was deep. Yeah, it was deep. Yeah.
But you guys are just as talented, right?
Right.
Let's talk about the second half of your off season, right? So fall camp, a couple months away. What does it look like for you?
Well, just staying consistent as far as like they pretty much tell you what to do as far as how to take it day by day and certain things. You can definitely add your own preference to it, but yeah, pretty much just like staying consistent with as far as what we've been doing. Trying to like continue to work on just like I'm trying to like take some of those 20s to like 40s to 60-yard runs. Yeah, that aspect of that. Yeah.
So in very short order, from January to March, you added elements to your game. You got better. So you think there's time from here, April to July, to keep adding to it, or is it more refining at this point?
Like I feel like you get better every day as far as what how you're building your habits. So like that's basically how I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the third quarter. No, it's like getting to like second quarter. Like, yeah.
We got time.
Yeah.
Well, and I think any good backfield, right? And you guys did this a lot last year. You want to be at your best in the fourth quarter.
Right. Right. Yeah. I feel like that was probably something that we didn't do as well. We played really well at the
Maybe
beginning.
at the end of the year.
Yeah. It's about the fourth quarter.
That's true. Yeah. There's a microcosm of that.
Yeah.
Have you figured out the why behind that?
We still figuring it out, but I just say just staying consistent as far as with how we work, how we take day-to-day processes. Just
How cool was it to see all your buddies getting NFL opportunities? 10 guys drafted, a bunch more getting undrafted free agent contracts.
It was great just to see like a lot of the people how they worked, how they did things, and just see that it paid off. Yeah, that was great.
I think if Lev doesn't get hurt, he's
I
day
definitely
two
think
guy,
that
right?
too. Yeah. I hate when it's like something that they can't really control, like injuries or he don't like York. I feel like he don't meet the height requirement or something like that. Like it's not really much I feel like he could have done.
Did you watch him play though? That's my thing.
Yeah, but it's a different type of business up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you think about the NFL?
All the time. My dream was never to be in college. My dream was to go to the NFL. So like that was a big thing for me.
But has it been dreamlike in the SEC?
Definitely. Definitely. It was always like,
It was a step in the process.
Yeah, I always wanted to. That was usually my goal at the end of the day. But yeah, it's been fun.
You think this is going to be the standard moving forward? 8 to 10 guys going to the draft every year for this program?
Definitely. Would like to get more in the first. I feel like I thought we would have like 3, but we ended up with just 1.
And then talk to me about how Marcel looked this spring.
Looked great, actually. Like as far as like on the mental side of it, making checks, checking certain things. When he sees something, he's like speaking up a little bit more about it. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see what you do come July in the season. You'll be back in here.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, we're ready to see you. Jamari, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jamari Moore over here on the huddle.
The muddle. I called it the muddle. The muddle on the huddle. I did. I corrected it on the actual interview. Hopefully you guys are part of our Texas Aggies United community. Get that stuff as it comes out. We'll hit a break here. When we come back, got a little women's golf to talk about. Got a selection show. We've got a lot to get into with Gerrod Chadwell and company. We'll do that on the other side. Right now, Ground Shuttle. They offer frequent and reliable shuttles from Bryan College Station to George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston. So if you're traveling from Bryan College Station to Bush, you know about the headaches that it is when you're just driving in Houston in general. I just spent some time in the Metroplex this past weekend. Big city traffic's different, right? You get used to it when you live in it. Like we think what's traffic here lasts for like 9 minutes. There it lasts for 9 hours. It's just different. And I don't want to deal with it. I don't have the patience. I don't have like the brain capacity to deal with it. So I like for the Ground Shuttle folks to take care of it. They'll get you there. They don't even find parking. They drop you off. You don't have to worry about parking or paying for parking or getting a shuttle from this parking lot to that. They'll drop you off. They got 9 shuttle times during the weekdays. They have 5 shuttle times on the weekends. So if you're a student trying to get back home, if you're a business owner, or you're just traveling for work, whatever it may be, let Ground Shuttle take care of you. A local company, Camilo runs the show there, and he won't book anything unless he can guarantee it. And they take very good care of their fleet with awesome maintenance and cleaning. So go check it out. GroundShuttle.com is the website. GroundShuttle.com, or call them up, 855-303-4415. It's Ground Shuttle. Let them do the driving. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio, Aggie Women's Golf, to talk about a great season, 5 tournament victories, program record tying year, and a hard run to the semifinals. Gerrod Chadwell here to talk about the SECs and moving ahead. How are you, sir?
Everything's good, man.
Yeah?
So you said busy time of year, but the best time of year.
Yeah, so let's kind of look back and then look ahead, because I think there was a lot of good last week and some stuff you'd like to have back.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about our SEC week. Like, first and foremost, our season will be summed up to a ball getting stopped by a sprinkler head, and that's how we lost our match. We had plenty of ways to win that match against Tennessee, but we started out, I believe we had the first round lead, and then didn't really play well in totality the next 2 days. We actually finished kind of poorly on the third day to fall into a tie for 7th. But drew Texas, and obviously that perked everybody's interest. And it was interesting. Just saw a different team that morning. And I don't know if it was the stress of getting to match play, which is actually really hard in our league, but it was definitely a more freer, looser bunch, and went out and played well and got a win over Texas. And then the Tennessee match is, it was totally different. We didn't play very good on the front, and I think I was quoted as saying, if you told me it would have came down to this at the turn, I would have taken it, because it looked like we were kind of dead in the water at the turn. But match play is crazy. It's just, for those that don't know, we play a format all year, and then an SEC championship and or a national championship is determined by a totally different format.
Why is that?
TV. I think once our national championship was put on national television, Golf Channel, it's really hard to cover. When you think of our sport, it's really hard to cover 24 different teams, 5 different players, all these different groups. So it's less cameras. You only got 5 matches to worry about. Right. And so it's easier to cover, and it's a more compelling storyline. But it's crazy what happens. Stanford last year was the best team by far and gets beat in the final by Northwestern. So it's just, it's interesting. I think it creates more parity in our sport, but it's really wild that you would, basketball, we talk about basketball a lot, that if national championship came down to a free throw shooting contest.
Right.
It's really weird. Yep.
So something you said there caught my attention. You felt like you were dead in the water at one point, but you had a chance. That has been a theme with this program this year, right?
I wish it wasn't.
But and I mean it in a good way, the resiliency to come back and sometimes hey, we're going to make something happen.
Yeah, I wish we would, it was interesting because I would say we got off to a good start, which maybe we haven't in the past, but we still just haven't, we still haven't put 3 good days together. We've been carried by some good rounds, but we haven't had 3 really good days that I think we're really close to doing that. Hopefully if we see that, in this next month, some really great things are happening because we're totally capable of it.
Right. Let's talk about Kata. Yep. And was it 5-0 in SEC championship match play?
Yeah, it's pretty strong. It's just, man, I don't know. And for the Americans don't get a ton of match play experience through their junior golf. Normally that's with a invitational, or they've qualified through a stroke play event to play match play to determine the champion. Our Europeans grew up on that format, whether it's through their club, everything they play. So Kata has a ton of match play experience, but there's just something to her and her sister whenever there is 2 people and only one comes out a winner, they do really well. And so match plays like that. You don't have the team to kind of immerse yourself in or cover up a bad day. It's mano a mano. And so it creates a totally different thing. But Kata was special in match play. V, I think, went 2-0 SECs, and V has carried us all year. Kata is starting to round into her form. There's just something with her when all the chips are down. That's when she's at her best.
Is there a different conversation being had during match play, or any way to ramp up mentally for it? Or, hey, it is what it is, and we just, we trust in our players to figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's so different. It's so different because you can play head games. You can concede a putt, which means I give you this putt at certain length, and then turn around 2 holes later, they don't, and so now I've got to switch my mind into I got to make it. So there's totally different things that go on in match play than that don't in stroke play. I think it's just you learn by experience, and it's really hard to win a match. It's crazy that how hard it is to win 3 matches, to win the match versus another team. It's hard to close out a match. Like, you could be 2 up with 4 to go, and it's just really hard to close out a match because you're that close to the finish line, and it turns into what I can't do versus what I have been doing for the past 3 hours. So I don't know. I think it all happens by experience, and really this was our first chance at it with this bunch of really going through that situation, and I thought they handled it. I thought they handled it well.
You mentioned Texas. There was a different energy. That's always the case, though, right?
Yeah, and we we learned from whatever it was, year 1 or year 2 here. We played Texas in the quarterfinals of the national championship, and we had Haley on the team who was a grad transfer for there, and so that one meant a little more. They wanted to win that one for her, and obviously it's our rival. And we had a little bit of an emotional letdown in the afternoon when we turned around and had to play Wake. And so that's what just let the young ladies know is, hey, our work is still not done, because you feel like, it's just bigger than what it was. It was that's who we had to beat to get to where we wanted to go and put a different jersey on them. And you still have to beat them, but you just worry about that emotional letdown in that afternoon against Tennessee. And maybe it was a little bit, maybe that's what our slow start was, but you just I learned from that in that quarterfinal a couple years ago that, hey, we still got a lot of work to do.
Talk to me about TexAgs correspondent Sky Sudbury.
Sky's, that was a heartbreaker for her. I think she's, you have this sense of like, man, you were that close, but you hate to see her match come down to that. Sky drew a tough one with in the Texas match. Farah's one of the top players in the world, and she held her own against her, but I think Sky's resilient. She'll bounce back from it. She didn't let the team down, even though it seemed like our SEC tournament came down to her match. A lot of different things could have happened. It just is the way it worked out. And look, Tennessee took advantage of a great break, and they won that match. And so you got to tip your hat to them, and we learned something from it.
How about Bryn?
Bryn was, Bryn. That was the best I had seen Bryn play in that Texas match. Bryn has had a putter that's been kind of hot and cold this year, and it got really hot against Texas, and she beat a really good player in Lauren Kim. And then that afternoon against Tennessee, she hit it just as good and didn't make anything. But all those things are deposits of learning, and you still got to think that her and Natalie, who have played a lot of rounds for us, are still freshmen, and they're still gaining all this experience. That's only going to help them for the future, and they're going to be around here for a long time.
I'm going to compare your program to what I see it's happening in baseball. I've seen it happen in softball. I see it happen in football, where you have such a great mix of veteran and young player development, right? In baseball, you have these 3 freshmen that are doing awesome, and that was Gavin and Caden a couple years back, right? And there's this growth that is happening. I feel like your program has that exact thing happening.
That, and I would say, probably thankfully in our sport, we don't have like maybe what Mike or Bucky or Joni are having to deal with, even Tricia, like just it's a new roster every year. So those deposits are more meaningful because that's experiences that we've had together. They didn't, Kata and V didn't get these experiences playing somewhere else. So it's, I think it's more meaningful for us, and I think it just helps with our program that we have continuity and faces for longer. And I think that will continue hopefully in our sport. But there's the youthfulness. I still think we're very young. Kennedy being our only senior, but I think our older young ladies have done a really good job of embracing the younger ones. And no different than me, there's going to be Texas A&M women's golf after me and after them, and it's our job to keep fostering that so that it continues on.
So tomorrow, selection show. It's tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow we're actually doing a deal at Holloman's Tavern, 2 to 4. Okay. Come out. There's ticket sales for that. We're using it for an NIL event for the young ladies, but we'll find out where we're sent in the country. There are 6 sites. We will be a number 1 seed. I don't know where we'll go. Waco is the closest.
That makes the most sense, right?
You would think. It does, but a lot of stuff that is done doesn't make sense. So I think there's a 50-50 chance we go there. I think we could get put on a plane and go. Stanford, it wouldn't be Stanford. Stanford will be the 1 seed there. It could be Ann Arbor, Chapel Hill, or Louisville, Kentucky, I think. I think Florida will get the 1 seed at Tallahassee. But once we get sent to your regional, there'll be 12 teams there, and you got to finish top 5 to make the national championship. So we talked about this at length yesterday, is like we still got to go play good golf. Just because you're a 1 seed doesn't mean anything. In some ways, maybe it makes it harder, or the only place to go is down. But we still got to play good golf, and so hopefully we're sprinting through that finish line.
We also put this program in certain positions to be able to be ready for this kind of competition. And you have, if it is Waco, you've played Waco.
And with that, and the SEC experience, man, like you show up there as the 1 or 2 seed, and we were closer to not making match play than we were finishing 1 or 2, in the stroke play portion of it. So that doesn't mean anything. It just means where you're going. So we still got to go play good golf. And I think our young ladies understand that. I think they're excited for that. So we still got, crazy enough, we still got 2 weeks almost before that happens. And you got finals in between. So there's a lot of things that happen in between that we got to help them get through, that we can still get there and be ready to go.
Before I let you go, so you have 2 weeks. What do those 2 weeks look like? Tomorrow, and hopefully everybody goes and supports and helps you out. But what does the next portion look like?
So even today, we have our banquet, our end of the year banquet tonight, and so we get to really celebrate the season because it has been amazing. What you were saying, it might be the best season yet from a head-to-head amount of wins. So we really get to reflect on that. We get to honor Kennedy, our lone senior. And then tomorrow we'll actually start qualifying to figure out who our 5 is that's going to start out with this for the first round of regionals. And then we have our selection show. But then the young ladies will start finals. We've got multiple ones playing U.S. Open qualifiers, which they're flying over the country, playing 36 holes in a day. Bryn played hers yesterday, didn't advance, but we've got multiple ladies doing that. So it's just kind of herding cats for a little bit. And, God willing, we're able to get in a van and drive over to Waco. But if not, we'll kind of get everybody to wherever we're sent via plane and go from there. It's really crazy this time of year with everything. Graduation, all this stuff going on. But we're trying to keep them focused as possible.
Appreciate you, sir. Good luck.
Amen. Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Gerrod Chadwell here on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with an open segment. Right now, we're talking about Paragon Financial Advisors. When it comes to your money and your peace of mind, it starts with the right team. That right team is Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. They are an independent fiduciary serving clients across Texas. No commissions, no sales pitches, just trusted advice tailored for you. They have a team of 18 professionals, including 9 CFPs, a CFA, and a CPA, all on staff, and their expertise runs deep because at Paragon, credentials matter, and so does your future. Visit paragon-adv.com or give them a call, 979-693-3907 to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors, integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studios. So if you go to the A&M Women's Golf social media channels, I'm looking at the Instagram one right now, you can get more information on their selection show event tomorrow. It's now from 2 to 4, not 3 to 5, so make sure you make an adjustment on that. Wednesday, April 29th, 2 to 4 at Holloman Tavern in College Station. Tickets $100 per couple. Check it out. There's more information on the link. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Justin, what do you have for?
I have what's on TexAgs today, and I'll start by saying this is a reminder to become a premium TexAgs subscriber because we got so much content coming out. Obviously, today, the Aggies host Tarleton State in baseball at 6 p.m. at Bluebell Park, so there's going to be coverage surrounding that. We also got B Team today with Richard Zane and Ryan Broninger. Always good to see those two. And then we got a bunch of NIL interviews today, which is going to be Tyler Thomas, Marco Jones, Boston Kellner, Noah McHale, and Ricky Gibson. All will be on the site, so become a TexAgs subscriber, and you can see all that.
Yeah, good stuff there. Appreciate that. And I should be talking to Marco here in a little bit, and I know Billy's got his schedule set up as well. So it'll be a great day on TexAgs.com. I feel like a cough is coming. All right, so I think you need to talk for a second so I can try to gather my thoughts.
Yeah, I got you. I'll drop some more news because we just got to talk to Gerrod Chadwell, but also there's a lot going on this week with tennis, men's and women's, as the NCAA tournament is beginning on Friday. A&M for men and women are going to host the opening rounds of the tournament Friday and Saturday. So we'll get to see the number 11 seed men's tennis team play on Friday, and the number 4 women's tennis team play on Saturday. So if you're up, go and see them at the Mitchell Tennis Center. So big stuff this weekend.
You know, I'm just curious. It's interesting with this Brendan Swordsby situation, how I don't want to say this show or anybody really is rushing to judgment or situation, but I feel like a lot of times in these stories, like patience goes a long way, good and bad, right? I mean, always good to be patient, but people are rushing for a hot sports take based on it. I think this is one of many situations, unfortunately, in college athletics that this one's been uncovered for whatever reason. I'm curious the why behind telling people you are going to gambling rehab, right? Addiction, or gambling rehab, is that how you say it? Whatever. Because you could have just said for personal reasons. And I'm wondering what else is going to be unearthed from this situation. Like, why was there a need to be specific about the situation unless the NCAA was aware and they were already starting their investigation? I think that's partially, but I do think there are a lot of kids right now, young men, young women around the country that are like looking at themselves in the mirror wondering, dude, I've done this. Is it going to come out? And I'm sure there are people who've gotten away with it, right? Like that they feel pretty good about it. I do wonder though, like what impact this particular case, because if you're the NCAA and there's enough evidence to suggest he really did bet on his team, even if he was a redshirt and he is done playing college sports or maybe even football in general, right? I think I saw somewhere that he could maybe go in the supplemental draft. I didn't even know they still did that. Like there's still a supplemental draft. Who watches that? Is that on TV?
Nope.
But like if he like Pete Rose, for instance, if they don't make a big deal out of this, it can, if they allow it to pass, and the NCAA usually loses their court cases, but if they allow this to just pass, it doesn't shun people away from doing it, right? Like there are people who will still try to get away with it. But if you come hard after Swordsby, then what does the next generation of guys thinking about doing it think about this, right? I think just like the steroid era, like trash can gate, and all the things we've seen in baseball before, I am curious what precedent will be set because of this in the future. Because we've only seen the smaller schools really mess with when it comes to these gambling accusations. It'll be interesting to see how they move on. All right, we're going to hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Live, Jamie Morrison, the national championship head coach, will be here to talk a little Aggie volleyball, their schedule, and whatnot next on TexAgs Live. Call Me on My Cell Phone, Drake, here on TexAgs Live. You don't have your headphones on.
Oh, man, I don't have headphones on.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Probably a great song at Reed Arena as well. Jamie Morrison in studio, national championship volleyball head coach joining the program. What's up, buddy?
I feel left out right now without a headset.
I know, man.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. So, are you just torn? Like, you're a very popular person right now. You're traveling the country. You're getting ready for the upcoming season. You're finishing your spring. Do you just feel like you're being torn in different ways?
Yeah. Yes is the answer to that question. And I think the one thing that I've had a realization is I think people talk about championship hangover about that next year. And I think everyone usually thinks it's, hey, people lose focus and they think it's easy. And I think it's actually the opposite, where there's just a lot more thrown on your plate. And one of the things I've been talking to the players about is making sure that they carve time out. It's okay to say no to things. It's something I'm usually a yes guy. Like, I want to be involved in everything. I want to give back to the community. I want to do everything that I can. And this is the first time where I've had to be a little selective over what I say yes to. So I don't think I think there are some people that like, hey, we want a championship. We're good enough next year. But just there's a lot of things pulling you in different directions. And you got to stay focused on the thing that matters most. And in this case, for athletes, that's academics and excellence on the volleyball court. So, I think torn is the right word.
Well, what a great obstacle to have, though. Like, if this is why you are, if this is the reason you have so many tabs open in your browser, this is a good reason to have these
100%.
tabs.
Like, at first, like, I think when people would ask, how you doing? I'm like, man, like all these things. And I started to get back to like everything I could complain about in life is a product of us winning a national championship. And that can't be something that's complained about. It's got to be something that's dealt with. And I think I've done a good job of it. I think our staff's done a good job of it. And I think our players have done that too.
So I think from fans and analysts are going to always compare to the championship year, right? That's just what we do, right? I remember when Coach Elko took over for the football team, and at some point he was like, hey guys, that was last year's team. This is a new team. At what point is it, you're always going to love the history and look at what worked, but this team has its own identity.
Yeah, I think from the very beginning, like I've talked about it a few times, I think one of the things that we do well as a staff is sit down and say, hey, what can get in the way of success in the future? And I think one of the big ones, both from the public perception and internally, is just comparisons. That one, we're going to win in some different ways. You can't match metrics to metrics. You can't match people to people. It's going to be completely different. It's going to be a different personality is one of the things we've been talking about a lot this spring, of trying to figure out who we are as a team. And again, we talk a lot about being you through us. Like, there's some us stuff that I'm going to try to instill in every single team that I'm a part of, but I'm still trying to figure out how this team operates best. Like, leading up to the game, we found out that goofiness leads to goofiness on the court, whereas last year that was different. So trying to figure out this individual, or the individuals on this team, I will say that, and then how this thing is made up of 17 or 18 young women that are going to go make this thing tick.
It's interesting you say it like that, because even though sometimes I try to parent the same way with my 4 children, the strategies that work for my sons don't necessarily work for my daughters, and both daughters are different in the way what motivates them. For a team, every year, yes, there's different personalities, but the team has an identity that kind of works or doesn't work.
Yeah, it'd be the similar, like, hey, you're going to parent each kid a little bit differently based on the people that they are, and then like those, I don't know, the 6 of you are going to make up your family. And like that has its unique personality and identity that if you guys go out, like it shows up in its own way where you have inside jokes and things that go along on that. So coaching is a lot of like that, of like, how am I going to parent each kid to figure out how do I bring the most out of each of them? And then, hey, what does this whole thing add up into where, I don't know, I'm going to parent this whole thing differently every single year, that I need a different personality to come out of it. And again, there's similarities. Like for you as a parent, there's probably things that you're going to stand by no matter what. Hey, this is every single kid. Like, I don't know, mine is my daughter's going to be kind. Right. Like we use the word kind a lot. It's one of the core tenets of like, that's the us piece of our family, but each, I don't know, we're about to have our second child. And I know that kid's going to be different. I don't know, my son's going to be different than my daughter, and I'm going to have to parent them different, but I'm going to try to instill kindness throughout. So again, that's the BU piece of I know they're going to be different, but there's the us piece of our family's going to be kind. And that's the same way that you treat a team.
I wish I was more like you, because like, when you're saying this, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not thinking kind. Yes, I want us to be kind, but I'm thinking like, we're going to do everything 100 miles an hour, all right? We're going to be David Goggins. I don't care if you're sleeping. You're going to wake up and do your math right now. Yeah. But the first thing you pick is kind.
Well, mine is the balance. Mine is, and then this is the same with our team. Whenever I have people that leave this program, I want them to go dominate the world. And I don't want my daughter to ever be walked on, but I want her to be kind. I want her to look at the outside world and how do I affect this in a positive way? But at the same time, how do I go affect the world? How do I not let it affect me, but I'm the one going out to make a difference in what's happening? So for me, like that family one, that's the biggest one with my daughter is like, hey, how do you be kind and like care about the people around you, but at the same time, like care about yourself enough that I'm going to do what I need to do to get ahead in my way.
Yeah, I I love talking to you because I think philosophy is all they match in different ways. And when you are, I think it becomes easy to coach a certain way or run a program a certain way based on the personalities. But I think to keep you fresh, right? Like this is a great, like it may be a little bit harder, but that's a good thing to keep you fresh and keep you sharp.
And this is what I came back for, is to build, to mold, to like literally, like I was sitting outside. I miss molding culture. I miss this piece of getting the individuals to add up into something greater than the sum of their parts, but also like hey, how do I make you the best you, and then how do I make us the best us? Like this is like, I don't know, what I'm made for. So it gets me fired up to get out of bed every single day and come in and try to push that forward.
The stress of the standard, right? Like that can be stressful, but that is, I assume, you want every program, regardless of what the record looks like, to play to your standard, to what that standard is.
Yeah. I don't know if I need to add to that, but
that's just
I'll go yes. Like, we had times this spring where we've won, and I've been frustrated at the way that, I don't know, we've won. We've had time that we lost where I'm like, hey, it's not okay to play, win or lose. We can't play like this. And then we've had times where we've lost where I've been like, hey, we were doing everything right, and we're trending in the right direction. But how you go about things is really important. Like that's both the style of play and the way that you act on the volleyball court.
So let's talk about this spring. Like, what can you tell us about this squad based on what you saw this spring?
Yeah, one, it's different. Again, going back to what we started with, like personalities are different. The way that we're going to go out, and like again, we're going to try to play an in-your-face style of volleyball, both with the way we play and the way that we act. And I think once we got to the end of the spring, we got to that point. We figured out who this team was, and I think you saw that on the last weekend when we beat Oklahoma and beat SMU. We were playing a little bit more with the personality that I think, again, the us piece of what comes, and I think other people got comfortable with, hey, I'm allowed to let my personality out on the floor as we go. And I think the rest of it was a building process to that point. I'm a big believer in the spring of making sure that everybody gets on the court at some point, of trying to give different people playing time, because you never know what's going to happen in the fall. It could be injury. It could be, I don't know, someone's having a down couple weeks and somebody else has to step up, but everyone has to be ready to step out on the floor. So I thought we did a good job of that, of getting a bunch of people some experience about trying to figure out, again, what the identity of this team is leading into the fall. And I told them when we left them, like, I think one of the things that's unique with our sport is we don't get access during the summer. So what happens from here, I thought it was a nice off-ramp of like, hey, we're trending in the right direction, but we got to keep doing that throughout the summer, and we don't get to supervise that. So it's on our team now to go do that themselves.
Where does the why not us mantra, and I don't know if that's exactly what you said, but when I remember my kids were asking me, Dad, do you think they're going to be able to win a national championship? I'm talking about last year. I'm like, they can for sure, but they got a hard road. You didn't look at it that way. You looked at it as like, we can beat every team that's in front of us.
I've been blessed and like lucky to be asked to go give some different talks, and 3 of them have been on leadership. And I'm a big Patrick Lencioni guy, so I'm stealing this from him, but he has different layers of values, and one of them is accidental values. That's certain things are going to seep into your team that like you got to be cognizant of. If they're negative, you got to stomp them out. And if they're positive, like, hey, I'm all like for like, let's let this be organic and let it be player driven. So I had zero to do with it. It was all our players. And again, like they were like, hey, like this thing, and it came from a significant others of 2 of our players, and then it kind of came into the team, and then it kind of became a team thing. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Why not us? Like, why are you going to fight that? But I think for me, and I can go back to that Nebraska match. If somebody tells me I can't go do something, and man, that just the fire gets lit 4 times like brighter.
Right.
And I think that is, I don't know, instilled in the people that are around me a little bit with that of like, I get a little fiery, and I think that is a little bit contagious. So I think it was kind of the motto the entire time of like, hey, we can go do this, but the players made it their own, which is a huge, powerful thing. I get chills as I'm saying it when, like, again, they can create their own language around the same idea that you're trying to get across.
So we got parts of your schedule done.
Yeah, I was trying to get the whole thing out today, so I got to speak in vagueness a little bit here.
But parts of it, you maybe start off with your SEC schedule.
Yeah, SEC schedule. My daughter's adorable. We'll go with that. That was fun. And it's interesting because we're going to get into home and away with everybody, and we'll get Texas, Kentucky at home one year, and then away the other. So we're on that away cycle this year. It's always interesting when you look at it from a logistical standpoint too. Like a lot of times, if you look at the last years, we've had like away on Fridays, Sundays. We got a lot of splits this time. It's one home, one away. And the beautiful piece of that is we back up to a football game, I think like 4 or 5 times throughout the schedule. So hopefully we'll get a few more people out at Reed Arena with people that might be in town for that.
I'm looking at this open with the 3 match homestand: South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi State. And then you've got Tennessee at home on October 30th, a trip to Austin. So like you're spread.
No, we're spread. And again, the SEC, and I'll say this until I'm blue in the face, like I think top to bottom, just there's no night off. And I think there's some other conferences where that happens. And it just, again, like you're going to play everybody once. So it's not something where it's top heavy, not heavy. You got to play everybody once and you have this SEC tournament at the end. So we're ready for that gauntlet.
And then non-conference, there's some things have been announced.
Yeah. So
Big Ten.
Yeah, Big Ten Challenge, ACC Challenge, and it's tough. Some of that was on purpose. I think if you rewind the last couple of years, just especially last year, people really didn't want to play us. I think we came into the season kind of, I don't know, people didn't know where we'd be ranked, but they knew we were capable of beating anybody, which came to fruition. Whereas I think this year, like everyone's willing to play us. And I think from now on, kind of our schedule will be very similar. And hopefully at some point here, we have these ACC challenges, Big Ten challenges. Like I don't get to choose when we play at home, but we played 3 of them. Hopefully next year we get to play one of those at home. But my goal was to bring at least 1 top 10, if not 2 top 10 teams to Reed. We got that. Creighton was just announced. I can talk about that. That was a home and away. So my goal is to get some good teams back here. But my goal is to pack Reed as much as we possibly can. And I know people have floated the idea of Kyle Field. My goal is to sell out Reed 2 or 3 times before we even float that idea in any way, shape, or form of trying to fill up a football stadium. But
that's the long-term goal.
Long-term goal. But I think next year, like especially that Wisconsin game, that's before a football game. Of like I want to prove that we can pack that place, like truly pack that place and sell it out.
So something you said there caught my attention. You said that some schools didn't want to schedule you last year. This year they're more willing. What is different because you're more of a known commodity now?
Known commodity a little bit. I think obviously, you've asked this question here. I think we're more of a name brand. So I think it's more like, oh yeah, I want to play A&M. Where before it was, and again, I think we've taken that jump into the point where like people see us in contention for this every single year. Now our job is to keep it there. But I think people are more willing to play that. I think obviously defending national champion, all of a sudden everybody wants to get that on their schedule. But I think we're in a spot, and again, the RPI game is an interesting one where like it makes sense to play like RPI 1 through 15, and then it kind of doesn't below that. It makes more sense to play mid-major, and I think because we can play those top teams now, and like again, like this is a really tough schedule. Like I don't think we come out undefeated. I think we're going to have to go push really, really hard during this. But regardless, we're set up for a really good RPI at the end of the year.
Especially when you play in the SEC, right?
Especially when you play in the SEC.
So what does the rest of the offseason look like for you?
Recruiting. And again, we kind of gear towards June 15th. That's coming up here in about a month and a half. And in between, I'm having a baby. So hopefully take a couple weeks and be a dad for a little bit here. But really geared up for recruiting. So just little touch points with recruits that we'll talk to on June 15th. We got camps coming up and just be there for athletes. They got about another week and a half of school. So making sure that gets done in the right way. We have some graduation ceremonies that are happening at the beginning of May. So those are fun to get to be around our athletes and celebrate a huge accomplishment with them. And then, start getting geared up, I think is the other one. Like, I really think of our seasons as like you set up dominoes and you just push them over when it goes. And if you have them set up the right way, it kind of just goes without having to think about stuff. So as much as possible with as many things as we can, because something will always go wrong in a season, but have as much of that set up so that everything's ready to flow getting into the season.
I know I can't ask too much about recruiting, but just are the phone calls, do they feel different?
Thanks for not getting me in trouble. Obviously, there's no phone calls happening yet. You're trying to get me in trouble right there.
My bad. At all.
Phone calls will be June 15th. Does interest feel different? Yeah. I think we were trending that way anyway. I think if you look at the class that'll be signed for 27, it'll be high. Like they had some pre-rankings came out. I don't know what I'm allowed to say here, but you can look them up on Prep Volleyball and see what they are. I won't get myself in trouble and give the number there, but
you could feel a difference.
But yeah, you could. And again, like the thing I think, and I'll thank that group of recruits, and I thank every group of recruits that come. So we've outkicked the coverage kind of with the brand every single year because people believe in what we were capable of. And now, obviously, there's proof backing this up that we're capable of this. But I don't know, all of these classes that have kind of led up to this point have really kind of bought into what it is that we said this would be about, and the way that we wanted people to act, the way that what we thought we could accomplish. And so I think we're just, again, I'll probably write that class that's coming in. It's like, we're just getting started. Like, I really do firmly believe that. And it's hard to say with the fact that we just won a national championship, but like the resources that we have from our administration, the resources that the university has, the brand that I think our volleyball program has right now, like I think what you saw is just the tip of the iceberg. The rest is coming.
And really, and I'll add this to it, the timing of it couldn't be better with the way the pro game is also starting to get different kind of notoriety. you wanted to see volleyball take this rise, right? It's taken this rise. This program is rising, but the national attention is rising as well.
Attention. And like national championship, that thing was sitting here and it's a piece of wood and glass, but like we have 4 players playing professionally right now from that class last year. Probably might have 6 from that class that are playing professionally. If you rewind or go fast forward another year from now, there's people that had to finish school and do some things. So I think it's a really cool thing. And I wrote Mike this also, just with wins are cool, but like putting people where they want to be is the most important thing that we can do. And if you look at what just happened with the NFL draft, that's an amazing thing for our football team. But I feel the same way about like, hey, we put people where they're supposed to be. So there's this intertwining of. I really did come back to try to be a bridge between high school and when people want to go play professionally and develop them or be pros, as the way I word it. Like if they want to go play, that's cool. If they want to go out into the working world, like I want them to be CEOs. Going back to what I want for my daughter, I want that for our players. But I think we're really, really far along on that path and further along than I thought we would be in year 3.
Jamie Morrison on the show. Thank you so much, sir.
Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it. That's Jamie Morrison. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. Open segment followed up by Bob Sturm of 1310 The Ticket. That and more is TexAgs Live. Hey guys, David Nuño here to talk about our new partners with EventPipe. They are a leader in hotel booking technology, and now they're giving you a chance to support Aggie student athletes every time that you travel. Thanks to their partnership with United and EventPipe, whether you're heading into a game, a business trip, or family vacation, every room that you book comes with cash back in the pockets of Aggie athletes. That's a wonderful deal. And with EventPipe, you'll get discounted hotel rates up to 20% lower than the major travel sites, while enjoying a fast, easy booking process. They've even created Presto, EventPipe's quick launch booking solution. It lets organizations build branded hotel sites powered by live hotel inventory, making it simple to book the perfect stay. So next time you want to book a trip, do it the smart way with EventPipe and support Texas Aggies NIL through United. Visit their website, tau.eventpipe.com. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Welcome to the Recruiting Violation Show. Nick Savage behind the glass and Justin Paez there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. All right, Justin, you're going to explain to me the latest with this 5 and 5, and I'm going to have a follow-up question that you won't have an answer for.
Probably
You
not.
might be able to figure it out, or you might have an answer, actually.
I hope so.
But I don't know how that's going to work, so take it away.
Well, NCAA President Charlie Baker has put in or proposed a new eligibility setup for college athletes. It would be a five years you get to play college sports. Like no more 5 and 4. It would eliminate the need for a red shirt. It's like you got 5 years and you make the most out of it.
So, but that starts from, I forget how it's phrased, and I might have it on our notes.
It says starting upon high school graduation or the age of 19.
Or the age of 19. So, what does that mean for the 26-year-old that went, I know that there's like, if you went into the military, that should be fine. What if you went to play pro baseball and came back to play football? Does the 5 and 4, see, I knew I had a question for
You're
him.
going to get me on that one. It says they aim to create a clear uniform clock for athletes, preventing scenarios where players could remain in college for 7 to 9 years.
So I don't know what the right answer is because I think all of us have a different journey. I don't love the idea. Again, I hope people understand when I make these comments, I'm talking about the health of the game. I'm not talking about Texas A&M. Okay? So for A&M, I don't care if you're 70. If you're a 7-year-old that can hoop, I want you on Bucky's team, right? Like from a pure, I want for my team, I want the best possible player under the right rules, whatever the rules are, not the right rules. If we're talking about for the growth of the sport and for the love of the game, for lack of a better term, I don't know if I love a 27-year-old competing with a 19-year-old because I think physically and mentally things are still changing. I was a late bloomer. When I say late bloomer, I think I was, and I'm not a tall person at this point, but I think my freshman year of high school, I was 5 feet tall, 120.
Wow.
Which on the football team, that was, it was a disaster, right? Like I was Hervé Villachez. You don't know who that is, but you kind of look like him.
Oh.
Just Google him. You'll love it. Hervé Villachez, Fantasy Island. Let's just see his natural reaction to this one.
Oh gosh, not even
What are you talking about?
close.
No, it was a joke.
Oh, okay.
But look at his resume. You'd be actually impressed with the people he dated. But anyway, back to my comment. If it helps my program, I want it. But I'm just saying, a 31-year-old probably shouldn't be playing with a 19-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Now there are instances where it makes sense. So eventually, they're going to have to break away. They're going to have their own rules. It is a semi-pro division, a minor league, if you will, to the college game with the ability to get a degree, right? Like to me, it's got to be the 5 and 5 makes the most sense. And it just because like right now, there's times like, how much eligibility does he have? He's got 3 years. Wait, he's been here for like 2 years. How does he have 5 years left? Like, There's a lot of mental gymnastics that are happening that I think just have a clear-cut rule. These rules that changed, or there's a gray area, and then they go to court, and this judge says this, and this judge it just needs to be uniform rules for all of college sports.
Yeah,
and that's it. What else?
I was like,
did you look at his resume?
I did. I don't really know any of the names that are on this list here.
But I mean, I'm just saying,
he's got 4 different people he's been with publicly.
He's no longer with us, by the way. He was on a show called Fantasy Island. Okay. And I'm sure Nick was a huge fan of Fantasy Island growing up. But Ricardo Montalban played the main character. I believe Cuban, by the way, part of our community. Pretty sure Ricardo Montalban was. But Hervé was the star of the show, and he was amazing. But he unfortunately went down a dark path of alcohol and other issues. But here on Documentary Hour on TexAgs Live. All right, go ahead.
No, I was also going to bring up kind of, obviously a lot of people are already getting ahead of themselves as the NFL draft just concluded this past week. And so ESPN put together a little 2027 look at what a mock draft could look like for round 1. Surprisingly, no Aggies are included, but names like Darian Mensah for Miami, Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Lenore Sellers, Cam Coleman. What are your thoughts on maybe some of these top names but also no Aggies being put, or what Aggies do you think should be put in that list?
Well, okay, I'm going to have you see if you can find this information as I talk. Look at what people were predicting outside of Billy Lucci right now last year. So the 2026 too early NFL draft projections, April 2025. See if you can do that in a search engine and see if you can find, because I think Cassius might have been.
I found something.
Okay.
I found CBS Sports made one last year. Let's see if they had any Aggies on.
Give me a date on that if you don't mind.
April 25th, 2025.
Perfect. I like it so far.
We had Cassius Howell as the 25th overall pick to the Cincinnati Bengals.
How about that?
So that's wild.
It just in the wrong round, but
yeah. And then Casey Concepcion, they had projected at 32 overall to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, so it wasn't that far off.
Not too far.
Okay, good job by CBS. So this is what I'll say to that. And Billy talked a little bit about it on the show yesterday, but a lot of the guys that we're talking about that could be have more eligibility, right?
Right.
So let's just say Isaiah Horton has an incredible year and he decides to go, or Mario Craver and they decide to go. You know, that does change the conversation. But with eligibility and development still, like this is a younger version of the team we just had. Last year's team, you had a very, aging offensive line. And again, back to the 5-5 thing, I don't even know how much eligibility some of these guys have. Right? I think that would be a question of that. But I could see, some of the guys on the defensive line moving their way up. DJ Hicks is the name I think we're going to hear a lot about.
Right.
How much does that mean first round? I'm not predicting that at this point, but give it a couple years for this group to mature. I think we'll be having similar conversations. But I would not be surprised if next year A&M has 6, 7, 8. I had to throw in 8 because I don't want the 6, 7 jokes to happen. But guys drafted. But I'm going to be more on the cautious side of that number, right? Like I don't think they're going to be close to 10 next year. But if they hit, who was predicting Nate Borkature a year ago today?
Yeah, that's nobody.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know where Tyler Onyedum's draft projections were a year ago. I know a couple years ago people were talking about it, but I think he had a down year his last year at Iowa State. So just curious what development a year in this program, the Tommy Moffitt system, the Mike Elko way, how the offense looks, how the defense looks, how that changes. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because there's some development that's still going on with time. And I want a veteran team more than a young team, right? That I think the hybrid model of having the right amount of young guys with the right amount of veteran guys who have SEC experience. I think the offensive line is a perfect microcosm for what I'm talking about. This year's, we've got some veteran guys that have all SEC experience, and you have these young guys you've been developing for the last year and a half, or 2 years that you could hopefully, when the time is right, we can bring them in. Let's hit a break. I see that we have Bob Sturm ready to go, so we'll talk to him on the other side. We'll talk to him about the NFL draft. We'll talk to him about so many other things here on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with more. It's TexAgs.
All right, we're talking about Burlebo, the heart of Texas, more than an outdoor lifestyle brand. It's products created with you in mind. Currently, I'm wearing the performance polo, the Texas maroon and gray. If you look into it, you've got the state of Texas in gray, and you also got it in maroon. It's one of their highest, most popular sales that they have there. It is really nice. Comfort and versatility. You can wear it in any situation. Quick drying, fits the size. But Burlebo, they're rooted in tradition, fueled by passion for the outdoors. Designs high-quality apparel that works just as hard as you do. So whether you're hitting a workout, enjoying a day of fishing, or cheering on your favorite college team, their gear is made for the athlete, the outdoorsman, and the everyday adventure. And it's really nice. I wore this one to church the other day. People talked about it. Really, my kids were like, Dad, you look pretty good today. From athletic shorts to your favorite go-to tees and performance hoodies, they have everything you want. Check out Burlebo.com and find your new favorite gear. It's Burlebo for the athlete, for the outdoors, and for the family. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar. I'm all in for that. or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going? You use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Our friend Bob Sturm from The Ticket in Dallas joins us here on the program. Bob, what's up, buddy?
How are we doing? Good to see you again.
Great to see you too, man. So I didn't think I was going to lead with this whenever I was texting you yesterday, but I think the Brendan Sorsby story is interesting for multiple reasons. I don't know if this kid's going to play college or pro ever again.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, It definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it? It's wild, and frankly, it feels like potentially the tip of the iceberg. I don't mean to be super fatalist about this, but this is sort of a collision course that I feel like we've been on for a while, with the targeting of a certain age demographic to the joys of gambling. And who amongst us hasn't enjoyed a little bit of that here and there, but the forbidden territory of actually being one of the athletes and being involved in this. And you know, somebody who has been deep in the European soccer game like I have, just from a interest standpoint for the last 25, 30 years, you know, I've made bets at a game, and it's pretty cool that when your bet comes in and you go right to the window like you're getting a hot dog and pick up your money. I mean, it adds a level of enjoyment that frankly, over here in the States, we've never come close to. And now that the floodgates have opened and the sponsorships and so forth, I assume a lot of guys of the college football age are sort of addicted to watching sports through that. I need a little taste. I need a little money on it. And so from a Sorsby standpoint, this does feel a little bit vindictive, probably from the Cincinnati side if I were to be a detective. And I don't see any way he can play this year. At the same time, does it knock him out of a potential NFL career? Well, they'll bend over backwards for quarterbacks. So I don't know. I mean, it's a wild situation for sure.
Well, Bob, to follow that up, I think the part that I came away from this is NFL teams they do so much research on the guys that are about the draft, right? Everything about their background, private eyes, whatever it may be, right? Try to find, because they're going to invest millions in these young men.
Yep.
Well, now colleges are doing the same thing. Now, these are one-year deals typically, but I'm just curious how much more of an investigation piece are we going to start seeing because of the amount of millions that we're seeing in the college ranks?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the dominoes here of needing a full investigation staff, especially if we're going to stroke a check for $5 million for a guy to come play for us for what essentially will be 6 months. We better know what he has on his resume as a football player, but also as a human, and frankly, those who have access to grind. I mean, you imagine when you play at Cincinnati, everybody's on your side, but the second you leave, here's a lawsuit, and no doubt in my mind that somebody over there knew, and again, more things are coming out. So it does feel like you're best of friends until they go from the $1 million offer to the $5 million offer, and now burning the bridges, and the relationships are severed, and now we got some real skeletons on this dude. Let's sink his ship and the school that just signed him. And so, yeah, it certainly makes you think that he risked a ton moving forward for a little fun on the phone, which again, I'm not positive those two things are tied together for an athlete. At the time, it's a $2 bet on an NBA game. What's the big deal? And then you just keep wandering down that path, and before long, the ability for you to get $50 million guaranteed on draft night has been completely jeopardized, and that sucks. But it's also, mistakes kids that age, adults far older, make all the time. So I feel like we're just scraping the top of this story. I feel like there's probably dozens, if not hundreds, of athletes that are trying to clean up their phone today. You have to figure. So there's a digital footprint. You put your credit card in there to open the account, and now you're trying to undo all of that.
Talking to Bob Sturm here on TexAgs Live. Bob was talking about the 10 Aggies drafted and several others signing undrafted free agent deals from the Aggies. Yeah. How do you look at that from hey, this is what the program should be doing, which is certainly one way to look at it, or, hey, you had 10 guys drafted, you didn't win a playoff game, what does the next round look like?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess as a bit of a fatalist on some things, I will say, boy, that is a ton of talent to replace. Yeah, there was a door open in December. We all know it. And Miami deserves all sorts of credit for bringing in a lot of dudes in the league now and sort of winning the day. And the generational wins we saw that day were a lot of complications. And hey, I am moving ahead, of course, as I assume is the healthy way to look at this. But yeah, as you look to the fall, you're like, boy, especially the Maroon Goons, just taking care of that offensive line. That's a ton of talent. So honestly, you'd like to think double digits is a high number, but also, if you're doing it right, you're feeding the league. This is status quo for a lot of programs, and you just want to follow it up and make sure it's not that fluke year, which we talk about in 10 years. Like, why did we waste that 1 year? It's more of this is what we do. This is normal. And if you want to go to the NFL, this is a good place to come play and kind of look on the positives of it. But yes, there's two sides to that coin for sure.
Well, and I think the cool thing is it hadn't been done at A&M at that level, right? And half of the guys, or 6 of the 10, were transfers, which means 4 were all developed. And the transfers that came in, it's not like they were talking about Cassius Howell being a first or second rounder when he was at Bowling Green. There was some development here at A&M.
That's right. Yeah. And so you see those guys take strides. I mean, even Concepcion to end up in the first round, Bisantis, really in terms of homegrown, took massive strides and just again, it's a really, really strong program right now, and I feel like it's in good hands, and I feel like they have a feel for what they're doing. And so, 10 is the ceiling for sure, but there's no reason why there shouldn't be a handful, to a point where it's not really newsworthy in a year-to-year basis that, hey, we got 7 guys drafted. Yeah, that's kind of what we do. So that's where you're trying to get to, and obviously the tradition in this program and the ability to populate the league is not a new thing, but you just want to make it a regular thing so that it doesn't even move the needle that much.
Bob, I don't expect you to know the A&M roster like we used to know back in the day, because all these rosters look different in today's era of college sports. But what would you like to see from A&M in 2026 based on what you do know about them? Obviously, Marcel's returning, Elko, and that defense, he's got a standard he expects.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's probably where I am right now, is with the defense, taking another step in terms of all the progress that was made from 24 to 25, and just sort of once again feeling like you can get a stop when you need to get a stop, and you can really, more than anything, just make a quarterback's day very, very difficult. And, if I go back to last season and I say where it fell short for me, it was just the trench wins of September through November sort of petered out there at the end. And I know this isn't a novel concept, but in particular, even in the case of a guy like Cassius Howell, is, if you can bring that to the Texas game, if you can bring that to the Miami game just a little bit more, and if the offensive line can handle their business a little more in the Miami game and a little more in the, so a lot of things to me, sort of dried up when Marcel is clutching his knee there in Austin, and then trying, he seemed like a different guy after that, and why wouldn't you? So I, as I look ahead, I do think, I don't want to say there's a trend, but we all know that as the season gets to Thanksgiving, in some ways it's wrapping up, and in other ways it's just beginning. And to have that second wind and to be able to push through against the best opponents at the most critical time, where you're most beaten up, so attrition and depth and all these things play a role. That's, I guess, the next dragon to slay. And that's a great spot to be in, because that means you've put yourself in double-digit win situations, all the way through Thanksgiving. But now, there's that next hill, and it never ends, David. We know this. There's never an end to what hills we have to climb. But this is a new fun one, in that, okay, now it's not weird to see you in the top 5, top 10 in the country as we flip the calendar, into the holiday season, and now just keep breaking on through to the other side, as they say, right?
Bob, let me ask you about the Cowboys. How do you think they did in their draft?
I love it. I'm an eternal optimist on that front, for sure, in the fact that player acquisition season makes you feel like anything's possible, and makes you think that the new times are going to be better than last year and the year before. And so the Cowboys, obviously we're focused on defense and had to find a lot of new pieces, and it starts with Christian Parker, the DC. And from there, obviously, the Caleb Downs thing was a pie in the sky. If everything goes right, you leave the draft with Caleb Downs. And I honestly was going to be willing to trade quite a bit to get up to where I thought I needed to be to get him, like 6. And once he starts rolling down past that Giants pick at 10, you're like, holy cow, they're going to get Caleb Downs. And I congratulate them on trading up to make sure nobody jumped in front of them. And if he is what they think he is and what really all of college football thinks he is and really all the NFL thinks he is. So I don't want to say he's a can't-miss guy because there's an element of all of this that is uncertain. But he's almost being billed like Cooper Flagg when he came to town. Like, you guys aren't going to believe the generational talent that we just got in Caleb Downs. So it's a ton of pressure. Christian Parker, Caleb Downs, fix this defense. But all the new bodies, it would be easier with Max Crosby probably. It would be easier with Nakobe Dean probably. So they didn't get everybody they wanted. But, you know, you're talking like 9 new defensive players who are going to be in that 15-man rotation. And their job, because of how good this offense is, their job is get the defense closer to league average. They were like in the 30s in all those big categories. And in a 32-team league, that's really bad. So if you can get all the way up to, say, 20, maybe even the league average at 16 or 17, now this team can be a real contender. And I know you've heard it all before, and I know everybody's rolling their eyes, but I've been doing this 28 seasons, and hope springs eternal this time of year. I think they nailed the draft. I think they did a good job with D. Winters. I just spent the morning figuring out his film, and I think that makes sense at linebacker. So it's not – Rome isn't built in a day, nor is the Cowboys defense, but I do think we will see real strides starting in Oxnard, and that will be here before we know it.
Last thing for you, Bob. You mentioned Cooper Flagg. I'm just curious, since he got Rookie of the Year and Luka's not playing right now, at least in the playoffs, has Dallas, have they moved on? Are they still, because I'm bitter about it, I'm still upset about it, but I'm just curious if Dallas has been able to move on.
Well, I would say no. I would say there are massive groups of people in your boat who not only haven't moved on, but don't really plan on it. Like Luka was their first love or their sweetheart, and you chased him away for no reason. And why? And you know, maybe it's a generational thing because I'm in my early 50s now, and athletes do come and go, and it stinks, but it's kind of the natural order of things. So I don't understand the Luka trade. I never will. But when you bring in Cooper Flagg, you say, okay, well, you know, a special player left, but boy, this teenager is a special player too, and I'm used to finding out the next chapter of the big book of sports, I guess, and I've really enjoyed watching him play, and I'm very interested in where this franchise goes from here. So Nico Harrison was fired. He should have been. He probably should have been sooner. Beyond that, I don't know what will heal the wounds for many, but one thing that does help is, you know, a world-class talent who's a teenager and spending his story and kind of seeing where that takes us. So never fully healed, but at least I am moving on to the next one because Luka isn't coming back, and I'm definitely not going to be a Lakers fan ever. So I have turned the page, but I realize there's way more people in your camp right now.
Bob, great stuff, man. Thanks so much for making time.
Anytime. Thanks.
Bob Sturm, 1310 The Ticket. He's fantastic. Love talking to him. His college football insight and NFL insights, second to none. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with a final short segment. Right now, if your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during their marquee events held throughout the year, such as Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, The Gathering. They welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities to get your brand in front of those attendees. And they offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. This includes title sponsorship naming, on-site presence, activation, social media posts, and much, much more. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for the last 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm here to tell you about Fratella Italian Cafe. If anyone knows anything about Italian food, it's me, Billy Lucci. And Fratella has the best Italian food in BCS. Located at 3901 South Texas Avenue, Fratella is known for their handmade pasta dishes and feature lasagna, beef cannelloni, chicken parmesan, chicken fettuccine alfredo, a couple of my favorites, just a big old bowl of plain old spaghetti and some manicotti. Really recommend the manicotti. That's my go-to. And don't walk out of there without trying the fresh, piping hot breadsticks and the homemade in-house cheesecake, which is incredible. It's great for dining in, catering, gift cards, and even shipping, which they do nationwide. Fratella's is Aggie-owned and operated, and it's an official restaurant partner of Texas A&M Athletics. I'll see you there.
And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Justin, talk to me.
Yeah, I wanted to have one last little discussion before we wrap up here. Big football fan, NFL draft last week, yada, yada, yada. But a couple weeks ago, we talked about, there was a lot of discussion coming out. Is Ty Simpson better than Fernando Mendoza? How high should Ty Simpson go? I know personally I wasn't on the train, the hype train, but he does go 13th to the Los Angeles Rams. A lot of controversy, it being the Rams to draft him. They're in a win now mode for a Super Bowl, and also him jumping all the way up to 13th. What are your thoughts on his rise based on kind of overall thoughts of him?
Well, I wasn't surprised he went in the first round, but I don't think he's a first rounder. And as you told me we were going to talk about this, I did a little just research in the few minutes during the break just to figure it out. The reason behind it for the Rams is that, yes, they're in a win now mode, absolutely. But if you look at next year and the quarterback crop that's coming in, they won't be able to get one of those guys, okay? Because they should be pretty good.
Right.
So you have teams like Cleveland, the Jets, Arizona, all looking to add quarterbacks to their team next year. And because of that, and the Rams, who are in that win mode now, right, win now mode, they almost had to make, now I don't know if I would have gone with them in the first round, but they're thinking we can maybe address some of the guys that we want in the second, third, and fourth round to get a guy that we can bridge the gap so we're winning a year or two from now, even when Matthew Stafford retires and moves on.
I think that's actually a really valid point. You're right. For one, the Rams are always going to try to be good enough to where they aren't in position to get one of those top quarterbacks, as you mentioned. But then also with the Rams, they're a team that never holds on to their first-round pick. They've traded their first-round pick the last 7 seasons prior to drafting Ty Simpson. So they obviously don't have first-round picks, and they obviously aren't drafting that low.
Here are a couple quarterbacks that are expected to be the first 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks. Arch, Dante Moore, Drew Mestamaker, C.J. Carr, Lenoris Sellers, Darian Mensah. So these are all, and Julian Sayin, by the way.
Wow, that's a stat class.
So, I mean, I don't know if 7 quarter. I mean, maybe they could have waited, but I think they felt, put it this way, what the Rams do, like they know how to use a quarterback, right?
Yeah, he's in the right system, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that, yeah.
Got to drop it there. That's going to do it for TexAgs Live here on a Tuesday. We'll see you mañana on the program with John Harris, Trisha Ford, Pat Henry, and Pablo Escobar. Thanks so much.